Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Perfect, perfect. So I can see most of the startups are here, or I'm just going to call out all the startups' name. If you can confirm by unmuting yourself, and we'll do a quick attendance before we move ahead. Okay? Perfect. So the startups I'm going to call out in an order, the order in which you are going to pitch. The first startup is Stacks. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Next is Kilo Robotics.
Yes, I'm here.
Next is Planco. Planco, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Next is Safe Space.
Yeah, here.
Next is Trashcoin.
Yes, here.
Zalamon.
Yep, here.
Postal Lab. Postal Lab, are you there? Henrik? Okay, he might join in later. DACH Assets.
Yes, we're here.
Virtual Eye Technologies. And Digimind. Okay, so Postal Lab, Virtual Eye Technologies, and Digimind haven't joined yet. We will be waiting for them. If they don't, we'll start without them and we'll wait for their turn to come up. Perfect, perfect. So before we start, I just wanted to ask everyone to rename themselves. What you need to do is put in your first name, a dash or a hyphen, and the name of your startup. You do not have to put in your full name. Your first name, dash, the name of your startup. If you're a judge or a speaker, may I request you to put in your first name, hyphen or slash, judge or speaker. Can we do that? Perfect. Great, great. I can see everyone doing that. And Sven, please let me know whenever we are ready to go, when all the speakers, all the judges have joined in.
Hey, Sumit, I think we're good to go.
Perfect, perfect. So, right. So welcome to the Entrepreneurship World Cup semi-finals of the DACH region. It's being hosted by Mainstage Incubator for the second time. Entrepreneurship World Cup is for all entrepreneurs of all stages and all across the globe. Whether you are dreaming about launching a startup or you already have a Series A round, the Entrepreneurship World Cup can help you take your next big step. After hundreds of startups have applied for this, and after thorough examination of all the applications, we are here today, one step away from the DACH finals, a platform for all the selected startups to show what they are made of. Considering the nature of this event and the idea to give platform to startups of every stage, we have a blend of startups from idea to growth stages. No one is less than the other. Mind you, judges of the internal assessments had a really tough job shortlisting these startups, and I wish all the best to our judges today. I'm sure they will be put to a test. And with that, let's welcome the judges. Starting with Nelson. Hi, Nelson. Welcome to the Entrepreneurship World Cup semi-finals. I'm so sorry. Nelson is an innovation enthusiast and entrepreneur from El Salvador who moved to Germany 10 years ago, where he founded VSpark with the aim to make innovation easy. He is committed to the cause of spreading a human-centric perspective on innovation and facilitating positive and impactful changes to the world. Our next judge is Jan. After years as CEO, today Jan is the founder of a management and investment entity identifying and developing partners' unique potentials, developing strategies, as well as practical solutions for established companies and startups. With 15 years of experience in entrepreneurship, finance, organization, and HR development, and his network, especially in healthcare business and IT, His supports as an advisor and mentor to sustainably support, encourage companies in their growth, and ensure long-term success with Plamental GmbH. I'm so sorry, Jan. Next, we have Peter Moss. Next, we have Peter Moss. Welcome, Peter. He's the CTO EMEA Central at Broadcom. Peter has a degree in communications technology from the private University of Applied Science at Deutsche Telekom. He's familiar with various topics from mobile to mainframe and development to operations. He believes in agile practices, just like all the entrepreneurs, and he is one of the co-founders of Scaling Agile Global. As a coach, he helps people in startups grow. The next judge we have is Sven Wegner. He's the co-founder and CEO of Mainstage, a perfect blend of an entrepreneur and a corporate guy. He has over 15 years of experience in sales, and he is the go-to person for startups when it comes to bridging between a product and a customer. Our final judge for today is Debashish Chakravarti. He's the co-founder and COO of Mainstage Incubator, a funding guru and a person who all the startups reach out to, whether it is in fintech, IT, IoT, blockchain, any domain, he is your go-to person. With that, I'd like to invite Sven and Debashish to kind of come up and talk a bit about Mainstage. Over to you, Sven and Debashish.
Hey, Sumit, thank you so much. Good afternoon, dear startups, dear judges. Welcome to the semifinals of the Entrepreneurship World Cup DACH edition. Last year, we had the pleasure to host the Germany edition. It's always great. Sorry for that. It's always great to see the innovation from Frankfurt, but also from Germany, but also from the neighboring countries. That's where we said, hey guys, it'll be super cool if we could do the DACH edition this year. Few words about me. I'm not going to talk too much. So Sumit already gave you guys an introduction. But when Mainstage Incubator was founded initially, it was founded with the vision of building an innovation bridge between India and Germany. But soon after a couple of months, we expanded it globally around the world. And today we're proud to say that we've got a mesh of different ecosystems connecting startups globally. Mainstage Incubator as a company, we are headquartered in Frankfurt. However, we do have a subsidiary in Australia. We're in the process of incorporating in India, and we'll soon be scaling into Canada as well. I look after the customer acquisition part at Mainstage for startups. So yes, we help startups with customer acquisition as well. Then maybe I will let Debashish talk a little bit about the second division we have at Mainstage Incubator. Debashish.
Hey, thank you, Sven. Dear judges, dear participants, dear startups, dear speakers, welcome to this Entrepreneurship World Cup, second edition of what Mainstage is hosting this year. This is the DACH region. We expanded it beyond Germany this year, and we got an overwhelming response. I am the co-founder and COO of Mainstage Incubator. I'm based out of Bangalore. What we typically do is, why do startups come to us? One is customer acquisition, which Sven spoke about. The second, and what the startup, most of the startups look for, is funding. So I look after that part of Mainstage. What typically do is we help the startups with connecting them with potential investors, depending on the stage, requirement, need, and fund utilization plan. In some of the cases and some of the extraordinary cases, we invest ourselves, and we also take the startups to scale beyond that. The third division, what we have is ecosystem, our network of connections with government entities across multiple countries, at the same time corporates and education institutes. That is also partly managed by me, partly managed by Sven, because we both typically bring in each other's network into the ecosystem to help the startups beyond just funding and customer acquisition. And this is what we do at Mainstage. Thank you, and over to you, Sven.
Well, I guess, Sumit, I think we're going to stop here with the introduction. I think let's stop the marketing speaker here of who we are. I think we're here to learn about the great innovation, the great technologies you guys have to offer. submit over to you, and really excited for today's semifinals and also then the finals soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Thank you, Debashish. Thank you for all the judges, speakers, and contestants to join in here today. This would not have been possible without the Entrepreneurship World Cup founders, sponsors, and along with our partners, Frankfurt Valley, Hessen Trade and Invest, and Startup Hessen. Now, before we move on today, I'd like to quickly tell you about the rules for today's event. All the startups will be given 10 minutes to pitch your presentation. That is 10 minutes for pitching and 5 minutes for question answers. And I'd like to request all the judges, speakers, and other contestants to remain muted while they are presenting. And all the questions to be put forward only after the pitching time has been over. And a friendly reminder will be given to all the startups after 9 minutes so that you can quickly wrap up your presentation. Now, before we move ahead, I would like to wish all the entrepreneurs all the very best. The startup for the Entrepreneurship World Cup. Now, before we move ahead, I'd like to call out the first startup, Stacks. Stacks, are you there? Whenever you are ready, please unmute. Perfect, perfect. So can you start by presenting your screen, please?
Sure. So you should be able to see it now. Do you see it?
Yes, we can. Once you open your pitch, once you start presenting, I'll start the timer. Perfect. Is it loading?
Just give me a second. It's loading.
Sure. It's okay. You can.
Now it works.
Perfect, perfect. Your time starts now.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for welcoming us today. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Stacks. We are a single product company, and we are helping the industry to create more efficient machine management systems. And let me tell you how we do this in the following slides. So what is the problem that we address today? Basically, myself, I have an extensive experience in working for enterprise and dealing with enterprise software. I have 13 years of experience working for Deutsche Telekom in a lot of integration projects with their customers and partners. And let's put a label on this problem. And this is a almost $400 billion problem every year. This is a general amount of money that industries are spending on integrations. Now, this is all sorts of integrations, being it integrating new services into existing systems, or integrating partners because companies want to create new, cool IoT cases. But this is a huge problem. And I know it's not such a sexy topic. This is infrastructure. However, if we compare it to the, what is this $400 billion? This is 1/3 more than the companies actually spend on the development of applications and services itself. So working for a huge enterprise, planning the projects, I would plan an X amount if I want to develop a certain service or application. And I already have to plan this X plus 1/3 because I know that I need to integrate this product into the systems with my partners, or maybe with some new services that will come. And now let's look at the average integration project time. I was very optimistic putting 1 year here because working for enterprise, I have also experienced projects that last for 10 years. And I'm sure that people in jury, you know that sometimes it's a never-ending story. Being optimistic, there are also small projects, so it's 1 year. And as you can see, it's a huge problem for the industry, especially for delivering today the machine services, where companies want to deliver new interesting services for customers. Like for instance, if I sit down in my BMW car and I just want to transfer my mobile connection to the car. It's a simple use case. However, it's huge innovation behind, and it's a huge problem for the companies. So how do we do this? We have created an innovative platform that is can be easily integrated into existing systems. That was a learning number one, working together with enterprise. This is a huge problem because an enterprise normally has databases that they have in place or services, and we created a platform that can be easily integrated. It can be fastly adopted. It's a very easy agents that companies can install and actually complete the integrations with other companies or other services in seconds. And really important, we wanted to have quick, however, long and lasting results. Through a system, you can connect to further systems. Basically, some customers call us the system of systems. So you can extend it in a cloud system and thus actually having a significant piece of infrastructure with our platform. What is it? What is the magic? So as you can see, it's a dashboard. So we wanted to have it fastly adopted. Basically, companies don't have to get used to some, it's a normal report. And the innovation behind the Stacks platform is that we have fused the best of breed we have within cloud today, best of breed that we have from distributed tech. Basically, we have a blockchain-based engine within, and the confidential, meaning secure networking. So basically, all of this connected. It's a first distributed platform that helps companies to manage very complex, heterogeneous machine installations, very easy, secure, and scalable. You can compare it to the distributed Kubernetes today, and our platform enables collaborative business models, as this, for instance, basic example where I get into the BMW car and can transfer my mobile connection easily. So what is the value proposition that we offer? Customers can easily connect to clouds through our agents. As you can see on the left side, Stacks is a platform that is based out of little agents that can be installed everywhere. We have a blockchain topology. So basically, it gets as easy as installing the node and already in a part of the environment that we call a swarm cloud. So basically, the companies can, through these agents, connect to clouds because they can install one node within the cloud and one node on premise. So they can create a bridge to the cloud world. They can also easily connect to legacy systems, as I described before. Second, and also important point, our platform is super resilient and secure because it's distributed and it doesn't have any single point of failure. It's also easily scalable for huge and large IoT deployments. Our customers especially enjoy the full usage of their compute because for some services, as for instance, some applications for cars, they even don't need to use clouds for this because actually the amount of compute within the car is enough. They also stay in the control of their data, so none of the data actually leaves the premise of the machine. Fourth point, we are really strong in the smart city cases where companies have a lot of vendors, where public and private sectors have to work together. It's a very complex, heterogeneous IT landscape with a lot of network segments, enable multi-vendor containerized services where companies can work cross-company and cross-machines. And last but not least, what we do, we bring cloudification to the machine world. So basically the installations as, for instance, fabrics or closed environments where it's really hard to migrate to clouds can still enjoy all the cloud pipelines of today's world with Stacks. Why we think it's so interesting today? We already started to see how those of you that live in Berlin, they have experience share now. And behind there is actually a partnership between BMW and Mercedes. However, with them around 4 years to actually build this service. And even then, it's not like a complete merger. You use their user interface, you have still the problem that you then forward to BMW or to Mercedes. Now with Stacks, we cross this trust border and we enable the scalable economy where every other member of such a union can be added not vertically, but horizontally. So we can scale easier and the companies can enjoy really fast time to market. And of course, the cost of the service is going down because every new member can easily join the union. All right, so what is actually within? As I started before, I worked for the last 7 years researching blockchains, and I took the best into the system design of the blockchain world. So we have a blockchain-powered system. Every agent on the network within Swarm Cloud is secured with a wallet. All the communication is encrypted and secure. And we also have a consensus layer, which enables the consistency of data so that every participant on a platform that actually manages the services through the Swarm Cloud can see the same state. Also, our platform is very flexible, and so it can be installed directly on machines or on-premise or within the clouds. And this is what our customers really enjoy, because they don't have to take the decision to migrate everything to the. And very often they use Stacks as a kickstart to the cloud world, because they can start with Stacks within 1 week just by installing one Stacks agent. And then they can decide later whether they want to still enjoy the cloud services that Stacks doesn't provide, and they can easily connect to the cloud world. All right, I'm done with my pitch. And now I'm open for questions. It was a little bit faster, but happy to answer your questions.
Perfect, Alexandra. Just because you have 1 more minute left, we'll give you 6 minutes for question answers. Judges, over to you.
Oh, thank you. So my first question to you is, how do you differentiate to API management? You know, many customers of Mainstage, etc., including this kind of technology to integrate other systems. Is this integrated with you as well, or how are you doing this?
Exactly. So actually, the user interface that I've shown, this is an option for companies. Also, the user interface is not hosted by us. You can use multiple instances of this UI. And mostly the platform is actually REST API based, so that it can easily be connected to the existing services. So how we do this, we provide open interfaces, for instance, to the world of blockchains, that the companies can connect blockchains through us, but also the connectors or to existing systems like, for example, Kubernetes or Ranger, so that the companies can use through our layer, which is called System of Systems, or you can see it as a glue, and connect to other systems. This is one option. The second option, we provide the networking. Basically, the heart of our system is the peer-to-peer network, where you can connect through the network requests. So if you have an existing database, you can include it into the Swarm Cloud, and actually every machine that is within the Swarm Cloud instance can query the database and get the response.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
And how do you price this system? Is this per unit, per client, per what?
Exactly. So that was an interesting question for us, because it's a distributed system. And so what we do, we have a hosted service. So basically we host one node, and we have a subscription model, because that's also what we learned. The IoT systems are very not transparent for customers, and they cannot plan with it. So we have a subscription, we have a free service. This is our networking, which is open source. We have advanced subscription, which is around 500 euros per month. And it includes a certain amount of nodes on the system and a certain amount of users. So we scale per node and per user. And we also scale per traffic, because of course, if they use a lot of traffic that is going through us, we track it. Here, it's important to say we do not charge the containers as opposed to existing systems, because normally we know that it gets really not transparent for companies. And so because we don't host this, and it doesn't actually cause any cost on our side, because the infrastructure actually runs mostly on the customer side, they have unlimited containers. This is our advanced plan. And then we have enterprise plan, which is 2.5 per month. And then it includes more nodes and more users on the system. And we really like this system charging per nodes, because it's very easy for companies to actually estimate the cost, because if they know, okay, I have 1 million sensors, and therefore this is 1 million nodes, and they can easily actually understand how much our service will cost.
Okay, thank you. And my understanding is, as you're setting everything up on own technology or not own technologies, you have new unique IP, do you? Is it something you have in register or whatever?
Exactly, this is a unique IP. We also have patents for this. However, the network stack, basically it's based on Kademlia, but it's our own implementation with IP, our own extensions, because our network not only can be doing the network, but also service mesh. That was our extension to Kademlia. This will be put as open source, but also we have for our orchestration engine 2 patents that we have registered.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have any other questions? Yes, Jan, I can see you unmuted.
Yeah, thank you, Alexandra. Thanks for your presentation. Just a question: can you share some more insights about the team, about Stacks Insights? So, what was your past year?
Exactly. So, if you can see the slide right now, I'm the CEO of the company, and that was actually 2017 my idea and the concept that I put together. My co-founder Philip, doing the operations and working on the business side. He has also developed a token concept system. This is in plans that will come later. Julian, who is responsible for our infrastructure, Chief Information Officer and security. We have Alexander, who is our CTO. He's responsible for delivering the technical stack. And we're happy to want Thomas, who has extensive experience in selling our products to service providers, who is responsible for the sales. And maybe the last year, we have won new 6 customers that we are working on currently. Really exciting projects in the domain of smart city. And maybe also another thing, we just have won 2 or 3 weeks ago a Deep Tech Award in Berlin. I'm really happy about it because our stack is really complicated, and really happy that to be recognized and that people understand that infrastructure is important. And we have a huge goal, because as we enable the backend sharing, that we will create the zero waste infrastructure in the future, so that we can to maximum use the resources of machines and also share the infrastructures, so that we can be closer to the sustainable IT one day in the future.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you, Jan, Alexandra. We have 30 seconds for one last question, if there is any.
Yeah, I have. Hi, Alexandra. It was a good presentation and a good team. I would like to quickly know about what kind of traction have you got so far? How many POCs, or if you have any paid customers?
Exactly. So in the last year, we have conducted 4 POCs. This year, we have already 4 paying customers. And as I mentioned, 2 deals are currently being prepared. And we are also applying to scale right now to the Singapore segment, because we're very excited also about smart cities projects there, because I think it's really needed there.
And how big is the size of the customers you have?
So right now we are speaking to the customers which have around 100 million of the turnover yearly. But we also are talking to the huge, large German manufacturers as Bosch and Daimler. But the deals are taking a little bit more time, but this is also on the plate for the next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. With that, we come to the end of the first pitching session. The next startup is Kilo Robotics.
Yes, hello. So let me share the screen. Oops. I'm going to full screen mode. So do you see my screen?
Yes, I'll start your time now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Armin Prassler. I'm representing Kilo Robotics. We actually make a huge jump from software only to hardware and software. So Kilo Robotics, what is Kilo Robotics doing? We have developed a new generation of mobile logistics robots, so a completely different domain. And we claim that these logistics robots are more affordable, more customizable, more human-friendly, and also safer than other products on the market. Now, who are our customers? There's actually a whole lot of industries which suffer from the same problem, namely shortage of staff. I mean, this is partly due to the qualification of the jobs, but it's mostly due to demographic change, which Western states and countries suffer from. And in addition, it's also related to demographic change. This is the fact that baby boomers, people who were born at the end of the 50s and the beginning of the 60s, are now retiring. And here I listed 3 industries which we are focusing on. One reason for that is because we have done already pilots in this area. So it's hospital logistics, sorry. It's warehouses and distribution centers, and it's also manufacturing. So now, if it comes to lack of personnel, it seems to be an obvious solution to use robots. But there's one big issue here. Typically, today's robots are very expensive. They cannot operate it in close proximity to humans, so you always have to put fences around, or you have to separate parts of your warehouse. And also, today's solutions don't easily integrate with existing intralogistics solutions. So, and we're not aware of any robot that really solves all 3 issues. So now, what is our solution? We have adopted a concept which is known in automotive industry and was invented by Ferdinand Piëch, one of the former CEOs of Volkswagen. In 1990, Volkswagen was almost bankrupt, and one reason for that, which Piëch analyzed, is that every model, every car in the company, in the enterprise, and they had already half a dozen different brands, was a one kind of a unique design with a unique engine, unique gearbox, and so on. And that increased the development cost massively, or had a massive impact on the development cost, but also on the product cost. So what he introduced was a platform concept. From that point on, all cars in this large enterprise Volkswagen with more than today 24 brands uses a set of engines only, uses a set of gearboxes. So many components, almost all components, are reused over different cars, different models, and different brands. And from bankruptcy, almost bankruptcy in the 1990s, Volkswagen has evolved in spite of all scandals to number 2 right now. Last year or 2 years ago, they were number 1 in the world. And we have translated that concept. So our robots are built out of a standardized set of components. The key is our kilo drive. That offers another property, which I mentioned before, is very important, namely safety. So our drives, our actuators, they can be pushed back if a robot approaches a human in an undesired way. The robot can be just pushed back. And so what you see here is, there's a couple of patents pending, but most of you have played with Lego when they were kids, and in the end, that is very similar. What we have done is very similar. And out of these standardized bricks, we have developed already a first portfolio of robots, which we then also want to sell to the different markets. So this is not a single-man show. We're a team. My co-founder, Arthur Kettles, is the CTO of the company. He has a long history in developing mechatronic systems. I am a part-time professor for AI and robotics, and have also already founded several startups in this field of service robotics. And we are supported by a large team, 12 engineers and a number of students. And we have also at this point, we have a small imbalance towards development and technology, but we have also already recruited a first person for sales. So now, what's the market? The market is huge. Actually, there are we have looked into more than a dozen market studies, and sort of the average of what they predict is for the year 2027 is 70 billion. And we segmented that market in various ways. So, one segmentation was industry, so the verticals, another one was the type of robots, the functions which they provide. And the market segment that we want to start with is basically docking and towing. It's one way of transportation. Of course, since we're located in Europe, we are addressing the European market first. and Europe, well, segmented in these verticals and also in the functionality of the robot, is still a 1.028 billion market just for this narrowed down segmentation. So, I mean, it's obvious that we're not the first ones to look into logistics. And I said already, we are not aware of any system that offers these three outstanding values, namely, first, that we are cheaper, more affordable than any existing comparable robot. We're safer. Our robots can be operated in close proximity to humans. They have a small footprint, and above all, they can easily scale. So we can really develop new platforms in a very short period of time. So how do we want to make money? How do we want to go to the market? I mean, the main business will be, for the time being, still sales. We are not doing this alone. We actually have the help of partners. One partner is Wanzel. It's a hidden champion in Germany, the southern part of Germany. They are a huge supplier of cards to DHL. If you have seen a postal office, there is often these huge metal carts where they collect the packages. We have also teamed up with Panasonic. Panasonic actually wants to develop a hygiene concept for their customers, for their customers based on our disinfection robot. There's another source of income, which is called robot as a service, similar to software. There's more and more people who do not want to buy, hospitals above all, who do not want to buy robots, but really want to rent them and just get the service and forget about the rest. So here are a few figures. I mean, we want to grow in terms of personnel from 30, hopefully at the end of this year, to 177 within 7 years. And I mean, I do not have the time to really get into these figures in detail, but just to give you an idea, we want to reach a break even in Q2 of Q2 in year 3. Our traction, we were founded, we established a company last year, but before that, we already participated in contests. So we were finalists in a contest organized by automotive companies in Germany. There is where we really learned a lot about what intralogistics is in manufacturing.
Erwin, a quick reminder, you have 40 more seconds to go.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm almost at the end. So I can talk more about the traction, of course. Here is an overview of the roadmap and the milestones that we have ahead. I mean, there's one major milestone, which is March next year, where we want to launch our products, the first product portfolio to the public at the fair, which is called Logimat. It's the biggest fair in that area. So why would it make sense to invest in us? I mean, here you see what we asked for, the capital that we need to launch our company, to launch the product, sorry, next year. I mean, we have key technology, which is not only for intralogistics, so even my
thank you, Erwin. Your time is up.
Good. But I'm at the end anyway. Okay, good.
Judges, do we have any questions for Erwin?
Yes. What kind of AI plays a role in this game?
That's a good question. We have software that recognizes humans, for example. In particular, if you get close to humans, our robots take certain safety measurements. So that is basically well, we use NVIDIA technology, NVIDIA hardware, and train the hardware, train the networks for that. Also to recognize different containers. For example, this DHL container, there is a piece of AI behind that that is trained to recognize and track certain objects that we want to transport.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have any other questions?
I had one question. I think a great presentation, Dr. Arvind. One interesting thing which Amazon has done is the lifting robots.
Yes.
They complete warehouse,
Yes.
using AI. So, do you foresee yourself more as a hardware company or as a platform company going forward? Because if you are a hardware company, then your scalability sort of gets restricted to the level of manufacturing, and it also needs a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you are a platform play and your platform sort of gets integrated with multiple robots.
Yeah. So we're a system provider, if you want. I mean, yes, part of our sales comes from hardware. But we are not also a no fab company. So our robots are manufactured in different parts of Europe. The way we want to scale is by really sort of offering complete solutions to warehouses, which means we do not develop warehouse software ourselves. Here we have interfaces that our fleet management system. So we have software, of course, who can operate a whole fleet of robots, not just a single one, integrates in a warehouse system and into the logistics flow and workflow in this logistics centers.
Got that. Thank you.
Thank you, Debashish. Do any of the other judges have questions for Evan?
I have. So from my side, I just want to ask, by the way, a really nice presentation. You show that you have different models about, kind of getting and buying a high amount of robots at once, or kind of going to this like share ownership. Where are the current customers leading towards to?
So, I mean, this depends really on the segmentation. Hospitals clearly said, you know what, leave it alone with all your with your excitement about robots and robot technology. We want a service. Okay, so there it's clearly that robot as a service. We have a rental model, and they don't have to bother about anything. They know they can be sure that very early in the morning, when the supplies are delivered to the hospital, the robots will, and they're typically delivered in carts, roll containers. The robots pick them up and transport them to the target. In a factory, the situation is different. Here we had these, I mean, you saw at the bottom, this lot size 1 model. So these 2 automotive suppliers said, okay, you know what? We give you a little bit of money. There was not much involved. You show that your robots can really provide that service. In the factory, it was the transportation of forged material from one workstation to another, or processing station to another. They were more into this lot size 1. They said, okay, if there's a robot coming out that they can use elsewhere, it's fine. I mean, we would like to see if you are able to really provide that, a robot that can do that service. We're going to purchase, we will be your customer. Others also say, you know what, we don't care about any technology, but if you're able to come up with a robot that does that service, we guarantee an order of, I mean, the minimum order here will be 100. So it depends on the industry and on the customer. You cannot generalize this, but I mean, particularly hospitals, they are not interested in any IP, in any shared ownership. They want the service.
Perfect. Thank you, Evan. Thank you so much, all the judges. Going forward, may I request all the judges to raise their hands and introduce themselves so that the entrepreneurs know who they are talking to. Perfect. So the next startup we have is Planco. Planco, are you here?
Yes, still here.
Perfect.
Share screen.
You start by sharing your screen.
Is it working?
Yes, it is. Perfect. Your time starts now.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Michael, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Planco. So I'm going to tap right into it with you. What is Planco about? What are we doing? And I want to take you on our mission. Our mission is to set new standards for employee benefits in the European industries. Now, why benefits and which industries are we talking about? So what we found out is that 7 out of 10 employees in the manufacturing industries, so mainly shift employees working on the ground, feel disengaged. And it's not only about employee well-being, it also has an impact on the company that they're working for. According to Forbes, disengaged employees cost US businesses cumulatively around 450 to 550 billion in lost productivity annually. So what we did then is to find out why is this disengagement the case and why do employees feel like this? And the best example we came up with is comparing those two guys over here. So if you look on the left, you have a typical guy at the office, which has the option to work from home, has a digital access to work with Teams, Zoom, as we're doing right now, and has the flexibility to organize his daily routine, let's say in the best way possible to arrange work and private life. But on the right hand, on the other side, you have the production employee, shift employee, who has a lack of flexibility, needs to go to a certain location to work, has shift, limited in time, and has no material benefits on site and flexibility as the guy in office has. So looking at this gap that we have in and how this can impact the company, we came up with our conclusion of our, let's say, problem statement. We say that current corporate benefits and communication options, they work fine for FS employees, but not for people on production. They're not sufficiently suitable. Looking at this problem, or this, let's say, challenge that we're facing, we came up with our Planko solution, which is that we want to reimagine corporate benefits. So we need to find something that is suitable for this exact target group. And our solution is to build the first community app for industrial sites. And with that, allowing companies to reach all employees equally, not only the ones in office, but also one on production sites. And we got featured in some, with our idea, we got featured in some magazines so far. And we believe that it's a promising idea. And I want to tell you why it's so promising. So how we imagine this, how we bring community and benefits and communication, those 3 things together in our app and in our vision. So we imagine industrial site like a big neighborhood. So as neighbors connect because they share the same living block, we believe that employees on one closed up industrial site connect because they go to work every day in the same place. And what we want to do is want to interconnect them and help them support each other. So best example, I want to cook something, I need some salt, I ask my neighbor instead of going shopping. And the same dynamic, we want to introduce them into industrial site. So that's one thing, connecting with your colleagues. The other thing, the broader neighborhood, is that you can connect with a local city and local shops surrounding yourself. Now, we have this vision of a neighborhood, and I want to tell you how this looks like on a daily routine. People will have a phone, or they have a phone, they will use on their phone our Planko app, which helps them to connect digitally. And on the other side, we'll deliver a physical touch point. Both things together in the neighborhood idea should bring some extra convenience on a daily routine to the employees. And this is exactly what our users in the research asked for, which is connecting digital world and physical world, especially in the area of production. This combination is very important to them. So let's look at a use case. Let's imagine I'm Maria, I'm working on an industrial site, and I still need a tent for the weekend. I don't want to buy one because I just need it for the weekend. So what I do, I go on the Planko app and post on activity feed my request to the colleagues. Eventually, I find a colleague on the plant who has a tent and can lend it to me for the weekend. So I save the money and I save the travel to the shopping store. So that's one of the cases, how colleagues can help each other. The second thing, if you remember right, was the broader neighborhood and local shops. How does this work? Well, if I'm working on a late night shift and I want to save the time to go to buy groceries, what I do at the beginning of the day, I order through the Planko app and the local shop my groceries to work. We have a locker system in place, which is the physical touchpoint that I mentioned. So after the shift, all that Maria needs to do is to go pick up her groceries and get straight home, saving some time for a daily routine. All right, so those were the use cases. And now we think we can help with our app employees on the daily routine to save some time and with a bit more flexibility. Now, how does this look like for the customer, the company of those employees? Well, if we bring in this vivid community idea and this daily benefits, those people will be more happy to go to this place to work. They feel more engaged. And what we found out is that employees that feel more engaged have up to 41% less absenteeism. They work better, which means they have fewer quality incidents. And ultimately for a company, that means reaching these employees can improve their profitability. So we had the user we have the customer, which is the company that we provide these benefits to. And what I look into is why should the company buy us as a benefit in for their employees and why not any other else? And what we like to say is that there is a lot of communication and community ideas in the private sector, but also in the corporate sector. You also have physical touch points already, also in the corporate sector. But what is new is combining those two aspects, community and physical, and bring it together to one industrial site. So that's the new thing. That's what is new on the market. And we call it then community-driven benefits for industrial sites. All right, let's have a look on how we make money out of this USP. Our main customer is the production company that wants to offer those benefits to their employees. And our revenue here is the initial implementation fee to set up the locker. How many locker space do we need? So that's one point. The other one is for every employee in the app, the customer is going to pay us a monthly SaaS subscription. So that's the customer. But as I mentioned before, we also have local businesses on the plan. And by giving them a platform to reach more customers in that case, we can ask for some affiliation provision for this customer exposure, to say so. So those are the sources of revenue. And I want to tell you what is the broader picture of this. We think we can impact employee well-being by reaching Europe-wide millions of users. In Europe alone, there are 100K medium and large-sized manufacturing companies, so exactly our target area, with more than 20 million employees working on industrial sites. If we take a very conservative calculation with 2 years for this B2B SaaS user fee, we come up with a potential annual revenue of 480 million euros. So that's a big number, very ambitious number, we know that. So I want to show you which steps we're taking to get to this amount. Right now, we have our first MVP out of the prototype that you saw on the slides before. We have our first pilot client with Scheffler, has about 80,000 employees worldwide. And we have a POC to start piloting this community idea on an industrial site this summer. I'm actually already here, so we're trying to dive into the preparations. And after the summer, after this pilot of 500 employees, we want to develop the app beta version. And then we are part of the plug-and-play startup Autobahn platform with other automotive companies. And there we want to share our pilot results and acquire more clients from the automotive sector, since they are the companies with a lot of employees on a worldwide scale, 310K employees sometimes. So that's the roadmap. And this is our ultimate vision that we are here for, and we want to win people for our idea, is to build this community, build this neighborhood, not only on one industrial site, but on multiple industrial sites, and expand Planko and make it a new standard for employee benefits in the manufacturing industries. And that's the team behind the whole idea. So you just got to know me. I'm Michael. I'm taking part of the business and strategy part. We have Aurelia. She's experienced in community management. She'll make sure that the community idea as a whole is working on industrial sites. And then, of course, our core product is the app. And for that, we have a product specialist, a background in UX, UI design and front-end development, which is Estella. And yes, that would be it from my side. Thanks for your time. And I'm curious to hear about the feedback.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, Peter, you have a question for Michael.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. How do you separate each customer from each other in the technology-wise in the backend, from security perspective, DSGVO, and so on?
Yeah. So at this point, we still investigate in that direction. So we started doing the pilot to also find out about exact those things. In our first pilot, we do it non-personal data. So people just use the forename. We create the emails, and we make sure that we are aligned in the terms of data security. But on the long term, we need to look a bit deeper into it and how we realize that. That's one fine, the data security. And the other thing is, how do we divide that? So people and users or employees only get in this industrial site community if they get a location code. So that way we make sure that Planko exists as a whole, but there are several Planko communities for each industrial site. And only as employee of that industrial site, you get into the community of your locality. Hope that makes it more clear.
No.
Yes, please.
I was asking about technology. Is this one database in the backend you're using, or you have separate databases for each customer?
At this point, because it's just pilot, we just have one. So we don't have separations yet. But
Okay.
that is a point to take into consideration later, definitely. Thank you for the point.
Thank you. Do we have any other question? Any other question for Michael? Perfect. Sorry. Yes, Peter.
Yeah, Peter Mersch again. Sorry.
Yeah.
What I see, you have a community builder in there, because what I experience is an app is not working, but you need to have somebody to build a community. So this is good. So thanks for that.
Thanks for the feedback.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Now we'll move ahead. And before we move ahead, I just came across this thing called Google. And so just to not interrupt rudely, when the time reaches 9 minutes, I'm going to play this sound. Let me know if you can hear this, okay? Could you hear that?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll play that when it's 9 minutes. I'm so sorry for the first two startups. I did not do that. I didn't know what Google was. So the next startup we have is Safe Space.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Can you guys see and hear me okay?
Yes, I'll start your time now.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you so much. And I'm super excited to talk to you guys about Safe Space today and introduce you guys to the idea behind.
Charlotte, you froze. Are you there? Is it
Safe
just me?
Space.
Charlotte, could you start again, please? We lost you in between. I'll give you extra time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. I'll start your time again now.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry about that. So just to start off with, I want to say I'm Charlotte. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO. I'm going to talk a bit more about the team in a minute, but I'm super excited to talk about Safe Space today. So Safe Space was really founded with the end goal of making storage simple. And what we like to say is that we take the self out of self-storage and make the process easy and enjoyable and fun. So just to talk about the current context in which we are starting Safe Space and also what caused us to start Safe Space up, first of all, I think we all very well know that rent prices are steadily increasing, and this is very true also in Germany and especially in major cities such as Frankfurt, where I am sitting today. Next, the European self-storage market is on the rise. It has been growing in the last few years, and it is also projected to do so in the future. Interestingly, America and in the UK, they're already much more advanced than in Germany. For example, in the UK, people are storing 12 times as much as Germans do, but we are slowly and steadily going into that direction. So that's interesting to see. Next, unfortunately, because of Corona, but that is just the reality we live in today, home office and home study are the new normal. And even though, fingers crossed, it won't be as bad in the future, this new hybrid model and working from home is here to stay. So we have even more things and we're spending even more time at home. Lastly, in general, there is limited storage space in basements in major cities. And this is especially true for things like business service, business apartments, co-living, which is on the rise, and also student accommodation. And that's personally where I have a lot of experience as well. Me and my co-founder, Kevin, in 2013 lived in the same student accommodation in 10 square meter rooms, where really fast the whole room was taken, the space was gone, there was extra suitcases, extra mattresses, and we would have loved something like Safe Space. Of course, back then and even today, there is lots of traditional storage providers or self-storage providers. You may know in Germany the likes of Storagebox or MyPlace, but back then those really weren't an option for us and the people we talk to in our age, especially your young professionals or students. It isn't an option either. These providers are very expensive. It's hard to find things under, let's say, 50 euros a month, and that's already on the cheaper side. They're often located far away in the outskirts of the city and don't provide help in transportation or carrying of the things that you want to store. If you don't have a car, that's another problem. You have to somehow beat your way through with the bus or rent a car, which is also costly. Next, these storage providers often charge you for space that you don't use. They first of all don't really help you in calculating how much space you need. So you often take maybe more than you actually have or need. Also, you can only buy full rooms. So if you only want to store a few boxes, you're going to pay for a lot more. Lastly, if you want to store for 2 months and 2 days, you're probably going to pay for 3 months. There's usually minimum times you need to store, and you always pay monthly. And lastly, they're really not very digital. I don't think there has been much progress since they were founded in this realm as well. You often have to call, write emails, or also have paperwork that you have to take care of. So that is why we have SafeSpace. And SafeSpace is a storage solution that, first of all, is very digital in the way we built it. So you can order everything online on our website. You don't need to call or send us an email. Also, once you store with us, you have an online storage inventory, because another big problem when you store things, you always forget what's there to begin with. Here you have everything online. We also, which sets us apart, have pickup and delivery. And we do this in our electric van and as soon as the next day. So you can just go online, order a pickup in your time window, and we'll be there. Next, you pay for only the space that you actually need. I'll talk a bit more about our product structure, but at the moment we do storage by the box. So you won't have to pay for more space if you don't need it. Lastly, we price you for the days that you actually store. So 2 months and 2 days is no problem with SafeSpace. We'll actually just send you the price for those extra 2 days. So we pick up, we store, and then we redeliver it to you when you need it. We like to say that SafeSpace is like your extended basement, because you can really have your things back the next day. If you know, oh, I have guests coming tomorrow, I need my guest mattress back, we'll bring it to you the next day. So here an overview of the product categories we have. We have S, M, and L, so storage by the box or item. S is very small, it's a shoe box, but it's also very cheap at 99 cents per month. You can fill it with your papers, your photos, or really anything that might not fit into our category M, which is a moving box size. You can put in your winter coats, you can put in sports equipment you don't need. And then anything larger is our L category, things like bikes or suitcases at €8 per month. Then we also have a flat fee of $9.99. So this is our current product portfolio. We're actually also expanding into other areas, also providing space for if you have larger things, like larger furniture pieces to store as well. But this is where we're starting off with right now. A little bit of an insight into our website, which we coded completely in-house. And we did this with the end customer and scaling to new markets in mind. So our platform, you can very easily add in new regions and postal codes that you're servicing, as well as once we have more drivers and vans, we can easily put them into the system. And as this becomes a bit of a bigger logistical problem, our website is going to be really invaluable in solving most of these questions. Next, just to highlight what a big opportunity it is. So just the storage by the box solution alone, if we look at the households in Germany who live under 60 square meters and do have disposable income of more than 900 euros per month, because even though storage isn't a luxury item, you do need a certain income to do so, it is a $2 billion annual revenue potential here. Next, to talk a little bit about our we started in Frankfurt. It's our pilot market, and we launched end of April and are growing our customer base here. So why Frankfurt? Me and my co-founder Kelvin went to university here. We have the connections here, which is already a great start. But on top of that, Frankfurt is a really good representative city of where SafeSpace is super helpful. You have tight quarters, lots of student accommodations, lots of service business apartments, co-living is on the rise. So here, there's a lot of our target customer in one place. So we started off here. We've done a lot of marketing with students as far as possible in Corona times. But notably, we've been able to do already partnerships with student accommodations to get to more people at once. and also business apartments like Smartments and Oninest, if you know them. We have had some press mentions in the Frankfurter Allgemeine and Radio Frankfurt and the Startup Radio Hour, which has been great. And we've had paying customers since week 1, which has been very exciting for us. So a bit more to the team. We are a small team. We're doing everything ourselves. But I think this is really great for us in this early stage to really know the ins and outs of the business and find out what works in Frankfurt before we move to other markets. So Kevin is my co-founder, and he is the tech brain behind this. He's the one who coded the website. He has freelance experience in coding and website design, bachelor's in economics and physics, and I come in more on the marketing end of the spectrum with my experience in marketing as well as management consulting. We have a great legal advisor, a former partner from White & Case, because we are dealing with people's personal things. It's super important to have the legal and also the insurance side of it covered, as well as Akash, who's a serial founder. We have support on things, startups and growth. So to end up with a little bit of what we're planning. So we have bootstrapped our pilot city in Frankfurt, and our aim is to expand to new markets and also start with adjacent products at the end of 2021. But first, we want to see what works well in Frankfurt before we scale and continue with this. So with that, I am done, and thank you for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions now.
Thank you so much. Yes, Peter, I can see you raised your hand.
Yes. How many customers do you have, and where would be the break-even point?
Yeah. So right now we have 20 paying customers after the first 2 months. And the break-even point is when we have stored around 20,000 items. And what has been interesting so far is that when we were going over assumptions, we were expecting people to store less items than they actually are. So we were thinking it would be around 4, but this number has been this number has been larger actually. So that's great.
Thank you. Yes, Nelson, I can see you raised your hand.
Thank you. Here's Nelson, Charlotte. I have two questions. The first one is, what is like the minimum level of engagement that you need from your customers? Can I just like become a customer and save a shoebox?
Yeah, so we don't have minimum order quantities at the moment. So you can do just a shoebox if you want. We have had no experience of this so far, but we don't have, especially at the beginning, we want to be quite flexible. We don't want to put in order minimums or having minimal storage times to attract as much interest at the beginning while we get our name out there.
Okay, and the second question, thank you very much. It's an easy one. So how do you plan to manage what is stored inside of these like boxes and containers in terms of security, things breaking, I don't know how to say it, rottening things that might destroy something next to it?
Yeah, so that was a big part of our lead up time working with lawyers on these questions and also insurers. So we do have very extensive terms and conditions that people have to click and accept quite explicitly at several stages. So of course there we exclude the items that are not allowed to be stored. And this includes perishable goods, things that are hard to estimate in high value, like antiques and things like that. And we do have an insurer at the moment already who we work with if anything happens on our part of like negligence, but of course we try to minimize this at all costs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a question or two questions, Charlotte. Thanks for your presentation first. How much do you charge for delivery and redelivery? That's the first question. And the second question is, if that runs well, as per your estimation, how do you avoid copy and paste by the established providers of these storage spaces?
Yeah. So the first question was the delivery fees. That at the moment is 10 euros for the pickup and 10 euros for the delivery. Because we do have quite high margins on the actual storage of the goods, we can cross compensate a bit of that quite low service fee. But we do see that if we make that much higher, it's too much of a barrier to order. So that's why we've done that. And lastly, the digital platform is really what puts us apart. It's not something that we can do in a matter of days. So it was quite an extensive lead up time coding this the back end of the website and making sure that it's really easy to expand. And that is exactly what our plan is. So once we have kind of the recipe for success in Frankfurt, we want to expand very quickly to other cities in Germany to avoid, like you said, this copy and paste that could potentially happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. We have time for one more question if there is any. Great. So thank you so much. So the next startup we have is Trashcoin.
Thank you. And wait, if I have a few seconds, one quick addition before I said 20K items would be the break even. It was 2,000, so my bad. I checked in the background. Thank you so much for your questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next up is Trashcoin. Are you there?
Hi, can you enable me to share my screen? Okay, yeah, thank you.
Is it possible for you to switch on your camera, please?
My camera is on.
Okay, that's okay.
Can you see me?
Not yet, but we can go ahead.
Okay, I have to confirm. My camera is on. Can any other person see me?
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Maybe it's a glitch on my side, somewhere in the speakers panel. Yeah, I can see you now. Perfect. I'll start your time now.
Okay, thank you so much. I would start with one of my best quotes. The greatest threat of our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. This is from Robert Swan, a renowned author. Welcome everyone to the semifinals of the Entrepreneurship World Cup. My name is Wogu Nodim Elliott, and I'm the CEO of Trashcoin. Last year, a friend of mine lost her only daughter. You know what killed her? Plastic bottles. You know how? Well, in Nigeria, where I come from, there are no waste management systems. And the waste from her house, they always look like this. And when it rains, the streets look like this. Blocked drainages that breeds mosquitoes, that causes malaria, and kill more people than HIV and AIDS. So far, she's got a solution. Local trash collectors. But with these people, she has to wait for at least 2 weeks and pay heavily for her waste to be taken out. So we got thinking, is there something that we can do? Can we stop people from drinking from plastic bottles? Well, maybe tomorrow, but for today, can we create a solution that is free, that is fast, and that is open to everyone? Well, yes, we've got something 75% of Nigerians have, something that they take everywhere. I'm talking about mobile phones. At Trashcoin, we have designed a system that uses technology to collect plastics through web, mobile, and SMS platform. Our system can be downloaded. You pick up your plastic trash, you locate our reverse vending machine spread over the cities, and you deposit these plastic bottles. After this, a barcode is generated. You scan with our mobile app, and you get rewarded in Trashcoin. This Trashcoin can then be exchanged for money, food items, or stationary items. And the collected plastics, we process them into flakes and pellets, and we sell to manufacturers like Degrade, and a Dubai company that converts plastic to textile and make shirts out of it. Our system works with a mobile device and a reverse vending machine. However, we have some challenges. While we can build this mobile app, we cannot manufacture the machines. Hence, we partnered with Tomra, a company in Southeast Asia, to help us manufacture this machine. This saves on production costs, inventory costs, and time. Our second challenge is financing. We do not have the funds to pull this up. And so we're using a blended finance approach, which draws funds from sponsorship, grants, donations, as well as value gotten from the sale of recycled plastics. We also have a very stiff competition in the market. However, while customers pay them, our customers get paid. And while their system is open to just a few people, our system is open to everyone. While they still use the manual approach, we are using the digital system. And while it still takes them 2 weeks to collect plastics, we do this just in 2 hours. All you need to do is think about recycling and you locate it and you do this. So far, we have 5 partnerships sealed. We have raised 6,000 euros in form of donations and grants, and we have received a notification for investment from a company out of Silicon Valley. And we have just submitted our Exist grant application for business funding for the next 1 year. Our next steps include building the mobile app, placing orders for the machines, setting up the plant and supply chain network, and raising awareness. Nigeria generates about 2.5 million tons of plastic waste every year. Our target is to get 500,000 tons of this amount. And for this, we need to spend as much as 200 million euros to collect this amount. And if we sell this after processing, we would make a revenue of 300 million euros, leaving us with a profit of 98 million. Our project timeline, which started just in September 2020, for the first phase, we are looking up till 2022. We hope to complete the project planning and design, start an aggressive marketing campaign, source more for funding, and develop the app, do the prototyping, and complete the validation stage. I would like to mention that we already carried out a manual prototyping, but now we intend to do this with the machines once they are ready. Our key partners include ESB Business School from the University of Reutlingen, where I just graduated. They are supporting us with research and development as well as office space. We also have partners like Andela, who is helping with the software and mobile development, and XY01 from Norway, who is helping with our brand identity management, Tomra for the manufacturing of the machines, and Degrade, who will be buying these plastics off us. TrashCoin also supports the SDG goals as we aim to create sustainable cities and communities. We also support decent work and support economic growth in our country. And we also support the climate action. Our team of founders include myself, Elliot, who is the CEO. I have founded over 3 startups before now, and I have an MBA in international management. Ibrahim, who is the CMO, he's also a bioeconomist and heads the research and development. And Afiz, who is the CTO, he has a degree from an MSc, Sustainable Mobility, and also a full stack developer. We have Victor, who has a PhD in mechanical engineer, and he will be supervising the manufacturing of the machines. And also we have Sampurna from India, who has an international MBA, international management MBA, and also a financial analyst. Our team also includes other team members like Prashant, Swajan, Arunima, and Priyanka, who you can see on this photo. So we believe we cannot stop people from drinking from plastic bottles, not at the moment, but we can stop these plastics from getting to the drainages, thereby stopping mosquitoes and reducing the number of deaths caused by malaria. To reach us for more further information, you can contact us via phone, visit our office address at the University of Reutlingen Center of Entrepreneurship, or just send us an email to get more details. Thank you so much for giving us this platform. Thank you for all the hosts and partners. It's our pleasure. We are open to any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nodem. Not sure if you know this, but Mainstage Incubator also contributes 0.5% of its profits towards zero emission initiatives. Glad to see you on the same page. Do we have any questions for Nodem? Judges?
Yeah, Elliot,
Yes, yeah.
it's Jan speaking. I have two questions. Can you just address again the market you're looking for? So as we understand, you're from Nigeria.
Yes.
Maybe you're looking for we strongly have a different situation, maybe in Europe or US instead of Nigeria. And the second question is some operational questions. As from the German experience, we have a lot of troubles with the cleaning of such machines, as collecting machines by residents and things like that. Can you tell about has your maintenance program instead of that?
So the first question is not so clear.
About your key market you're looking for.
Okay, yes. For a start, our key market is Nigeria. We hope to, first of all, this system already exists in a different way here in the German market, but we are now going fully digital with it in the Nigerian market. However, we also see a market in Germany where some of the plastics are not captured in the fund refund system. So this is our second stage. On successfully starting off in Nigeria, we would have our office here in Germany, all revenues will come here to Germany, and we can also look into getting into this market for these plastics that are not captured.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Nelson.
And then I believe with the question also a little bit from Jan, the biggest challenge that I see, and by the way, I love that you're trying to solve this problem because it's imminent and it's urgent to get something to it. The biggest challenge that I see is about the machines itself. And there's two things, well, three now. With Jan mentioned maintenance of the vending machines. Then second will be the volume. At least in Germany, I can tell you that you feel that they get filled every time that I try to give my bottles, the machines are full and they don't take them. And the third one will be the vandalism. At least like in the country where I come from, if there's vending machines that have enough value on it, then people will kind of try to vandalize them or get angry to them, you know, or things like this. What have you thought about this?
Yeah, thank you so much. So for maintenance and vandalism, we're already in talks with retail shops, retail outlets, as well as petrol stations where we install these machines. So they would not be left on the street. They would be guarded by shop owners and gas station owners, because we also see a way where they can also make some, get some benefits through adverts, because our machines are supposed to have some things placed around them, and the interface is also supposed to have a screen that shows some adverts, so they can also get more publicity through our system. So we hope to just do like this in a win-win situation. And then about the cleanup and picking up trash when it fills up. So we our supply chain also sees us making space for trash collectors who go from machine to machine every day. They can do this. They can visit one machine twice a day, because we, for a start, we are starting with the economic hub, Lagos, and then we already mapped it out with the waste management agency on planning a route on how we want to pick this. So we have this from one station to another. So we have a team going around every day to ensure that this is emptied.
Perfect. Thank you, Nadim.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there time for
Yes.
one? Nadim, first of all, I want to congratulate you for choosing this problem to solve.
Thank you so much.
It is such a big problem that even plastic is found in the Marina Trench today. It is such a big problem. And I'm dialing in from Bangalore, India. So India also is facing a similar problem like this. I think it's a global problem which needs to get some kind of a solution. There are lots of technologies available. There are lots of solutions available in this. But the biggest challenge which I have seen in most of the startups struggling are in two parts. One is the awareness amongst the citizen to actually contribute positively to this particular movement. I would say, I would term this, your startup more as a movement rather than a startup. So how does Trashcoin typically motivation is one of the things which you're doing in form of the coins, but typically how do you ensure that this awareness is spread across communities, which actually will eventually have a have a viral effect. But that is very, very critical. How are you planning to build this awareness amongst the citizens?
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. This is actually a very good question. So we have designed different marketing approach. One of which is partnering with startups, local startups that are already deeply into the community. We have different startups, for example, agriculture that has gone across the nation to capture people who are unbanked. They are not captured in the national banking system. So they have done this manually. Our first approach is to work with such people to reach out to our audience in the rural area. I also just handed over in June of 2020, my team and I handed over a startup, Infodemics, which was built to disseminate information about epidemic outbreak. Somehow we didn't even know that coronavirus would come. And we worked with Ebola when our country faced it to build a communication tool for epidemic. So in this system already, Infodemics, we were able to gather 70 million people in our database. This we handed over to the National Center for Disease Control to communicate during the corona situation. So we're also hoping to utilize this medium to reach out to more people. Now we know also of social media and the influencer marketing, which is currently going on. Ibrahim, which is also our CMO, has at least 4 years in digital marketing, and from his dashboard, he has made over $295,000 from Google Ads, and this we hope to assemble together this experience and these channels to reach out to as much people as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nodim and Debashish and all the judges. With that, we come to the end of the first round of 5 startups. I request all the judges, we have allotted a breakout room for you so that you can discuss internally and evaluate and also work on the scorecard that we have provided you. Thank you, Nodim. You can stop sharing your screen now.
Thank you so much. Sure, I will.
Perfect. And while the judges move out to the breakout room, we have one keynote speaker now. I'd like to introduce you to Benjamin Talon. Benjamin founded his first company at the age of 13. Quite an inspiration, right? Since 2017, Benjamin is also the founder and CEO of the platform More Than Digital, which has become one of the world's largest initiatives for digitalization, innovation, and topics of the future. Benjamin, I'd like you to come up on the stage and start by presenting your screen so that you could share wonderful insights with all the entrepreneurs over here.
Perfect.
Over to you, Benjamin.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. I mean, after such an introduction, I don't have to say much more, right? So thank you. And I'm just trying to actually share my screen to actually jump into the topic, because it was pretty tough one to actually choose what is the most valuable information I can give to young startups who are just taking off. And it was really kind of like maybe a little bit about the frustration that comes with it, a little bit about giving a fuck and sometimes don't giving a fuck. Sorry for being that direct with the language, but I choose to be, I mean, I'm young, I'm stupid, I'm a young entrepreneur, so I can do it. And that is my topic today, that I literally say kind of like, how do you survive in a startup world? And as I have already been introduced, I was lucky with 13. This luckiness proceeded actually afterwards. So I was kind of like till 18, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm the greatest superhero in startup universe there is ever. And I soon realized that this is not happening. So, that was really kind of like, after 2 fuck-ups, I really then learned my own share of experiences, and I tried to do it over again, and I really tried to think about what is happening and what is not happening. So what I really want you to do, and everybody who is actually also here and comments, please share your thoughts or share your questions, so I can also answer some of them. And what I really want to talk about today is, and what I prepared is also what to do as a startup when you are really in doubt. So when you don't know what to do, when you're really short before giving up, or if you don't give up, even if you should give up. So that was actually the pitch I made to the organizer, and so I kind of like, maybe it's also sometimes good to evaluate when it's good to give up and when it's not good to give up. Because I have been in my own situation very often that people called me a dreamer. They dismantled me in many different ways. They really called me off in the worst possible things you can imagine. And it was tough times, and it was really tough times. And what made me realize after all this different startup experiences is really, it's all about thinking, and it's really about thinking of the situation that some people have a different perspective. Also, when you get criticized, don't take it too personally. I mean, I took a lot of criticism in my life because I did a lot of pitch decks. I did hundreds and thousands of pitches to investors, to coaches, to whatever. And believe me, it was 1,000 different opinions, 1,000 different criticisms, whatever. And it hurts you a lot. So really think about why this person is saying it to you. What is their current status? Why are they saying that? Is there really something to it? Do you need to adjust or not? So that is really one of the key critical things I need to give you with that. So really think about what needs to be done differently, what to do and whatever. And there is a good saying. I mean, Mahatma Gandhi's saying is pretty much all over in the startup world. So still sorry for copying it in here, but it's a very valuable lesson you're going to learn after really doing a lot of the footwork. So first, they're gonna always ignore you. And it's not just a saying, it's really, as a startup, you don't get visibility, because literally, and I'm also fair and honest here, there are a million of ideas out there. I literally have like 64 or 65 different startup ideas in my phone right now. So trust me, there is always a million ideas to do something, to make a difference, etc. So this is the stage which is really hard, which really bothers you a lot, because you think you have a solution that actually gives some added value, and everybody will think like, yeah, I have tons of other features, and just go on, prove it. And then that's also with the proving. I mean, many of the startups then try to build first products, try to build through the first, product market proofs, and then they're being laughed at. It's easy to laugh at something because it doesn't look good, because it's not perfect, whatever, because we are in the world of superficial people. We have all the perfect pitch decks, we have all the perfect solutions. So be ready that a lot of people laugh at what you're doing and how you're approaching it, because you will learn from that. And I also did that. I mean, More Than Digital was a pure coincidence thing. I never really had the intention to actually make anything out of that. And people were laughing at me, and they were literally laughing just because you're not even an entrepreneur. You don't even know how to monetize. You just have this blog. It's cute. Yeah, whatever. So do whatever you want. There is kind of like, and for them, it was not really kind of like anything serious around it. And it hurts because you already have proven that it's working, and people are still laughing at you. And that's really a tough fight for you. And there you have to get through. And this is not something where you give up. If people laugh at you, it means that you're doing something what they're uncertain of, but you are succeeding. So really think about what is happening and why they're laughing. And then you come into the fight stage, and I can give you 1,000 stories of people fighting more than digital and me, and trying to literally do everything against me being successful because I proved something others were laughing at. So that is really a stage where a lot of startup entrepreneurs, and I've seen that a lot of in my coachings, then they're giving up because it's kind of like, we already proved that they are doing good. Why do you fight us? Why do you want to hurt us? Whatever, because you proved that they were wrong. And that is a very human instinct, that actually when you are being wrong, you want to fight for your side instead of admitting that they were wrong. And that is actually then when you are starting to win as a startup. And there comes also the other side. And of course, there will be always kind of like a pitfall. Maybe when they ignore you, you don't get the money. You can't start. If they laugh at you, you cannot get partnerships, you cannot get customers because it's dealt wrong. So that is always, I'm not saying it's kind of like the most normal, but it's kind of like how it works in the business world, that people are fearful. And you as a startup, you have something new, you have something nobody other dared to do, or nobody other succeeded to do, nobody other thought about doing. And that is really where you hit in. This is the sweet spot. And that makes you most vulnerable for all these things, to be not taken seriously enough, to be kind of like the clown in the round because you have such a big idea that nobody else would even dare to dream about. And in the end, you're the one to ask also questions. And that is also where I come in and say kind of like, sometimes, yes, I have seen a lot of startups just saying kind of like, we just go through because the others don't get it. And that is also very, very hard, because sometimes if you cannot prove that you can make it, then it's really, then you are starting to struggle, because then you're breaking this chain. So do you know your domain? That is also something. I had so many startups in, they were literally kind of like, we just fight through. And I'm like, do you know your industry? Do you know what you're doing? Yeah, we have this idea. I'm not expert for that. So how should you know that you're actually doing something good if you're not even in the industry, or if you didn't even read about the industry? So that is a bad sign when you really have to think doing something different. Or do you have the resources? And that's why I marked it red. Do you have the resources to prove other people wrong? And that is one of the big things I constantly see when I'm talking about platforms and digital ecosystem and all these big business model who involve years of investments to even get to a reach which is kind of considered okay-ish. So that is really one of the things. I mean, everybody can think about a platform. There are thousands of platform ideas out there, but trust me, I've just recently read a study that 0.8% of all platforms being launched are successful and they survive. And you know, the average time it takes for a platform to generate first revenue? Can anybody guess? I mean, you're open to write in the chat. That's now really interesting, because people underestimate it, because people are so much into their own world, and that is really a problem. Do you have the resources that it takes to get the first income in average for a platform? So we have 1 to 2 years in the chat. Is somebody else writing? Otherwise, I say like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have 3 to 4. According to the study, what I've seen, it's 5 years. So on average, a platform takes 5 years to generate first real income. So that is the time that you have to invest, that you have to do to prove them wrong. Because it takes a lot to actually be as a platform successful. Two-sided platform, not single-sided. We are selling like e-commerce, so there is of course a different game. But most platforms, they really take a long time until you hit like 1 million users per year. It takes time. At least Google takes years until it finds you good enough. So that is really something that you need to figure in when you're doing something big. If you're trying to really create a movement, whatever, it takes time. And I can speak of myself. I was lucky with More Than Digital, but it also took now 4 years to reach this stage that we reach 1.7 million executives. If I would have planned it, I would have never made it, I guess, because I would have done it differently, because I would have prioritized the different things. And I didn't have the funds at the beginning to really kind of like, I didn't have the resources to prove them wrong. So you can really say that. So, and the next thing is also very important. Can you connect the dots to make it work? And that's really kind of like one of the things I see very often for startups, really connecting dots to make it work. Do I have the right people? Do I have the right market fit? Do I have the right product? Am I the right person? That is also a very interesting question. Am I the right person as a CEO? Am I the right person to be a CTO? Because that makes a big difference. And then in the end, can you prove, and that is also, can you prove them wrong with the resources? Can you prove that there is actually a market fit? So that is really the questions you have to ask yourself. If you say I can answer them all with thumbs up, then you really need to fight for your startup, because the unknown is really, it's there for everybody. Nobody knows what comes tomorrow. Nobody knows that Corona comes. Nobody knows what the future will bring. So it's really about making things work or not work in a different way. So we have here now half an hour what I'm speaking, and I really want to get some of your questions also in. That's why I'm trying to really be a little bit faster on this stage. But I can really tell you some of my insights. What happened to me? I mean, the unknown was a killer. It was really a killer, because sometimes the unknown was that suddenly a competitor got my pitch deck. So that is a very unpleasant unknown. Or you didn't meet the right persons. You don't know whom to talk to. For example, for us, it was also a very frustrating experience that in Europe, platforms and ecosystem are not so well perceived as like in Europe. Europe is very good for service-oriented and product-oriented services. So you have to know which fight you're taking. But at the moment, you don't know that. You don't really think about all the possibilities, what is out there and what might influence your journey. So this is why you also need to have the patience to ask the right questions, to really go out there and really embrace the unknown and really say kind of like, okay, maybe strange why I'm not getting the feedback I want to have. Maybe it's the wrong partner you're talking to. Maybe it's the wrong person in the company you're talking to. Because, for example, for us, it was also at the beginning very frustrating. We were speaking with the wrong people. So nothing happened. Suddenly we started speaking with the right people, and suddenly proof of market popped up, and then it was easy. So the unknown is always, it's a critical part of what you're doing as a startup. And that is really where you have to fight through. And just imagine, like us, we did the wrong targeting. We just spoke with the wrong people. That really make us think kind of like, should we just stop with it? And that is hard to actually admit, okay, fuck, I have been wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I just was so realigned with all my purpose, mission, whatever is fit, that I didn't see that there was actually a different need from a different person in the company. And suddenly it worked out like a charm. So this is really the unknown you have to tackle. And even if you say kind of like you have the resources, for example, a lot of startups I met, they were like, yeah, we have the resources to get to our first prototype. And when I'm seeing kind of like how they tackled the programming and the timelines, it was literally ambitious. I mean, it's good when you're ambitious, but there are so many unknowns. For example, for us, we thought we finish a product like in 1.5 years. Now we are doing it for 3 years. Of course, we have different perception of that. Of course, we did our own timelines differently, but it was really the unknown that brought us to the limits, and that really didn't help us in succeeding. So that is really why I'm sharing all these stories with you, to really get you thinking kind of like, do I have the right timeline? Do I have the right team? What do I do when a customer is not responding? What do I do when my product is not responding? So this is really what you as a startup need to think about when you are trying to avoid a fuck up. And avoiding a fuck up is actually a big challenge because 90% of startups fail. So it's actually hard to be the 10% to prove them wrong, because in the room here, I don't know how many people we are, but when we look around, there have been more failures in the room probably than actually big success stories. So that is the thing, you also have to prepare yourself, that you say, how can I not be 90%? Don't focus too much on how to be the 10%, but also think about how not to be 90%. And that is also very, very interesting when I talk through that with a lot of startups. They don't have mitigation plans on the biggest risks startups fails. So really be sure to understand why startups fail. For example, one of my startups back then failed because we had the wrong approach in actually getting our first pilot customers. So we were really so focused on getting the first pilot customer to pay for our programming that we actually were outrun by others because they had the money to do the pilot. So the strategy was wrong, and we literally fucked it up because we were just waiting for the pilot customer to sign off the nice deal so we have enough money to actually have marketing and programming, whatever done. We should have just taken like a small amount and just go in. So how to have a fast proof of market, for example, or my first 2 startups, wrong team. I mean, it's literally all about also the team. Really make sure that you have the team aligned. For a lot of people, it's like, I don't really care at the moment, but it's, for example, for me, I take now half a year, and that is my own timeline to find the right COO, because I needed to replace my COO. And this is such a key critical person that I said to myself, till end of year, I want to have the best match. And I don't want to have it now, because then I make compromises. And really, that is also something you need time to do that. And that is coming back again to the question, do you have the resources to do it, to take your time to do something like that? So that is really try to think about why others fail and what makes you better than them, that you're not failing. So, for example, also marketing. Marketing is not so easy. A lot of people always mention kind of like, yeah, we have a marketing plan here, we do some Google advertisements there, we do this and that and that. So the reality is that marketing is actually the hardest part today for a startup. I always read kind of like, yeah, there is no market fit, there's a wrong people in the team, they didn't have funding enough. So that is pretty much why the startups got bankrupt. But in the end, when I saw what they did and how they did it, it was also bad marketing. I can cite Google because some years ago, like 1.5 or 2 years ago, Google told me now they are search ranking people and companies according to their brand. So it's brand before content. So what does it mean? If you're a newcomer, you don't have a brand. So how can you compete? How can you compete with others without burning money without end? So really think about how to be smart with your marketing, how to avoid paying for Google advertisements. Because that is always something I see kind of like, yeah, we're going to do some Google advertisement. We just need enough money to do Google advertisement. That's actually not a real strategy. Because there I can literally tell you, I have seen dozens and dozens and dozens of companies failing because they didn't get the marketing right. They literally thought we just post an online advertisement and all the money is just flying in because we have such a great product. And in the end, you need to know one thing, and I learned it really hard way. Nobody gives a shit out there about a new startup. So it's really, for most people, it's kind of like you're somebody new who are trying to sell something. So really make sure that you have this good sales pitch there, that you're really saying kind of like, yeah, we know we're new, we don't have the reputation of Microsoft, whatever, but we are that and that and that good. And you build the community back there. You build something else. You build other marketing channels that literally help you to leverage it. That is becoming the 10% and not failing as the 90%, to make sure that you really have an outstanding appearance out there. So for example, also what many people always underestimate is kind of like nice visuals. That's also one thing I can really give you there. Just get to Kappa 99 or some other design services, get some designer from Fiverr or whatever, make nice presentations, make nice visuals, whatever. That is easy to avoid, that people think like whatever. I mean, you haven't such high costs to generate just one lead. Why should you fuck it up for doing bad visuals? And that is also one problem a lot of startups are facing, that they are not aware that the brand matters most right now. So I hope you people are also, I'm just opening a chat. You're also writing some comments in there, or you have some questions, because I would also love to hear some of your questions to that. So just post into the chat or comments. And also, I have to mention one thing. I mean, as somebody who fucked up too many companies, I won't say the number right now, but you learn each and every time. For example, I was thinking I was the greatest and the best when I sold the first startup with 18. I was literally thinking kind of like the world is just not enough. I was renaming the James Bond theme, kind of like world is not enough. Give me more. I want to be bigger. I want to be better. I was so overwhelmed by my own success that I totally forgot that there is actually a lot of footwork to do. And you will see, and a lot of people will see it. As I said, it's 90% who are giving up on a startup, sometimes in the right time, sometimes not. And 10% who are winning still means that 90% of people are learning. And one of the worst things what I saw is kind of like if you're one-time success. I mean, you know that from the music world. You start off, you have a great album, you just fly over, and then you cannot keep up with performing to that. And that was really kind of like what bothered me in the end, because I was like, well, I was better back then. So, but then I realized I actually learned so much, which is helping me now. I didn't do a lot of mistakes because I did it back then. It was a very expensive learning experience, but never give up to actually bring your ideas to life, because that's actually the most positive part, and that is what I love the most when we are really talking about startups. You have an idea and you bring it to life, you help people, you make something better, you bring a product or service out that really gives an edge to something. That is what is really about having a startup. And don't forget that you have this passion in you, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting in the same room here. So we are all passionate about doing something, and if it's not this product, it's maybe the next product, but don't lose the passion. And that's a really, I've seen too many people kind of like having a hard stop, kind of like, oh, entrepreneurship, it's too hard, whatever. Yes, it's freaking hard. It's really kind of like eating noodles for years. I mean, if I told you what I have done to actually just keep my startups alive or to do something, I was literally eating nothing just because I was like, yeah, if I save this €5 now, I can have this and that, and I can buy a template somewhere, because I was just like, I need to prove them wrong. And if I spend something on my side, it's not in my company. So I better have the company on the side. And it's really tough because you are giving up a lot of yourself. You're giving up a lot of this stuff, and it's not like in all the videos, in all the social media or whatever. Startup life is not about being Mark Zuckerberg and just managing kind of like the big fancy meetings. It's all about having kind of like the balls, sorry for all the women, or just the balls to actually walk through and say kind of like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna prove them wrong, that I know that this is working. And it's actually, you can really see it as a fight between believers or non-believer. And you are the only one who can believe in your company, but you also need to see that you believe in the right cause, because without data, yeah, you won't believe in kind of like the outcomes everywhere. So that was pretty much the short intro. I just had 30 minutes, so I really tried to put in a lot of my personal struggles and a lot of learnings from my side. And really, I see that there is no comments. So if you have questions, you can just reach out to me. You can just, whatever you want, just drop me a line. I'm more than happy to challenge, to help, or to do whatever.
Thank you, Benjamin. I'm sure even though the comments aren't here, I'm sure there are lots of questions which might be coming up. So if you have any questions for Benjamin, I'll take the questions first, or if not, then firstly, I'd like to admit this one thing, Benjamin. That was a phenomenal presentation. One of the best that I've seen till now. I'm sure everyone over here did get to learn a lot from what you just said. And everyone who is watching us live on YouTube and Facebook, definitely an amazing session. Yeah, really great insights. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Well, okay, so we are getting some chat. Super interesting. Love the session. Totally agree with marketing being the toughest and easily underestimated aspect. So I have a question for you, Benjamin. How do you relate marketing and sales? How do you think they go together with each other? What's the similarity and difference between marketing and sales?
It's actually a very hard cut in the end because sales is everything that happens after marketing succeeded. And that is really what a lot of people don't really get when they're speaking about sales and marketing. Of course, they should work together. It should be a hand-in-hand process. But the marketing aspect is really kind of like not just getting sales, a lot of numbers to dial, and then kind of like just closing deals. I mean, that's nice. If you can't close deals, you won't survive. So that is, of course, so sales optimization, but that is the easier part. Marketing is really, and that is the big problem what we see right now, branding also, because a lot of people, I mean, you see pretty much all the all the same websites and landing pages all over. I mean, I could literally list like 50 startups and I could say kind of like, yes, this is logo, it's different because they all have the same theme. So it's not really that I think that I'm the only one seeing this, that is literally always the same. So you really need to stand out. You have a solution that stands out. You want to build your brand, and that is really also, it starts with a vision and mission statement. A lot of companies don't really have a vision and mission statement. For what are you standing? What is your vision? What do you want to do? And my vision is not kind of like, yeah, I want to earn a lot of money and want to be next Mark Zuckerberg and have like $1 billion on my bank account. That is not a vision and mission. That is literally your business model, yes. But a vision and mission is really keeping people together. I can just give you one example. For me, it was total coincidence. We had this Be the Change. It was a coincidence that we had a dial-in on the blog back then, because Modern Digital started as a blog, and it was literally kind of like, yeah, login is not so sexy, so I had hashtag Be the Change as a login button. I said, let's make together a difference. And this was then literally like a self-propelled motion engine for our vision mission statement, something the community could relate to. We are now leveraging, even last year I was presenting it on the World Economic Forum. So it was really from, I just had a thing that I wanted to do something positive, and a lot of people related to it, and suddenly it became a core value of our brand, which is now also a core driver for our brand. So don't underestimate the power of branding. Don't underestimate the power of marketing, really marketing and not just sales marketing. So really get out and try to get people's attention, get people's trust. And that is really what I see. For example, a lot of startups are giving out sales materials, which are really awful. I mean, that is marketing. Just make some nice graphs, ask some people to make a nice sales deck, whatever. Just ask some people to make like 2 pages that really represent what you're doing. Because if you send out like a Me Too paper from WordPress, from Word or from PowerPoint, everybody's like, well, I mean, I'm expecting something others. We are living in a world where Apple and Google and whatever, they are all giving us the perfect customer experience, and that is marketing. Sorry for the long answer.
Yeah, so in the interest of time, I know this is going to be really, really unfair, but in the interest of time, I'm going to give 1 minute, because Nelson has a question and Benjamin, you can answer. So sharp question and a sharp answer, then we'll move on to the next pitches.
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin. I just want to ask, when it comes to creating content that really brings value to the people, the biggest question that I ask myself is quality versus quantity. What will be your secret there?
Creating content is always about asking people. So that was actually what I learned. I just noted down all the questions I got each and every day because a lot of people ask me questions, and I just really noted them down and tried to actually give a short and crisp answer as good as possible. I mean, SEO wise, you have also the long form content, but nobody reads that. So really try to be as helpful as possible, that really, if you read it, you have the feeling, yes, I would also get it. Then you're doing it perfectly. And don't start kind of like, we're the greatest, we are the best, we are here, here's our product. People feel when we are bullshitting them.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Nelson, for the question. Moving on, I request all the judges, all the participants to please come back. If you are feeling exhausted, just stretch out, do a bit of an exercise. In fact, you know what? Let's all of us do this. Stretch out your arms, do a bit of stretching. Just what Sohail is doing, like Evan, Sven, everyone. Please switch on your camera if you're comfortable. Do a quick 30 seconds. If you can stand up, jump around. I've been standing up since the beginning of the event. Let's freshen up our minds and we'll move ahead with the next startup. So the next startup is Zalamon. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Can you start by presenting your screen?
Yeah, sure. Cool. So can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. Can you present?
Sure.
Perfect. Your time starts now.
Hi. No one uses cash anymore unless you live in Germany. 90% of Germans don't use credit cards. My name is Sohail. I am founder and CEO of Zalamon. So a bit of background about me. I've been working in tech startup for past 10 years. I've been former co-founder and head of engineering of Web Mobility in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia specifically. They've been working with the big names like BMW and Sime Darby, Singapore. And as an immigrant in Malaysia, I was not able to use banks and credit cards because my country was kind of restricted in those cases. So, and things after another things happened, and I decided to move to the Germany. And things in Germany was different. I could easily get a German account. And guess what? After I opened my first bank account after 11 years, I couldn't use it because wherever you go in Germany, they are using cash. So that's how actually the Zalamon started. I was like, okay, I've been living in Southeast Asia for about 11 years, and in there, everyone using Alipay, GrabPay, and all sorts of e-wallets. Like rarely people using their credit cards and their debit cards. So what's the problem here? So the biggest problem here, like most of the people here, they don't provide the cashless payment. They don't provide the POS system for the customers to be able to move away from the cash. And the reason is they're expensive. And some of the POS system, they have a license fee, and they have a monthly fee that goes from 100 euro to 1,000 euro based on the scale you have. And it's not only that, there's a maintenance fee. And guess what? POS system are machined, and the machine are they can break easily. And another problem here is the bank transfer is super slow. In Germany, when you want to do a bank transfer, it can go up to 7 days. And yeah, we have some system like Zeba credit transfer or Zeba direct debit credit transfer, which they are not supported by all the banks. And at the moment, people usually do the banking transfer within this period of 3 to 7 days. So what is the solution? The solution we are bringing here is Zalamon Pay. So the way we do the payment, we are doing it with the e-wallet way. So when it comes to e-wallet, when I ask most of the people in Germany, they think Apple Pay and Google Pay as an e-wallet solution. But what they actually do, they save your banking information, your credit and debit card information, and they are just a bridge between your bank and the person you pay. But that's not eliminating all the costs happening between that transaction. There's still the background cost happening, and that's the main reason local businesses or small businesses here, they're not providing a cashless payment. So the way we're doing it, we are doing it in more like Alipay way. So you can withdraw your value inside a digital wallet, and you can easily pay with the QR Pay. And the QR Pay solution is also something that can easily provided by the local and small businesses. And since we are doing the interbank transfer, the transaction fee are super low. So they are even lower than the Giro Pay in Germany. So what is the market size? What we are talking about here in terms of the market. So yeah, even though like most of the people are paying with cash, but still there are around 200 billion transaction value in contactless payments, and 13 billion of them, they are mobile specific way of paying things. And what we targeting here, we are trying to target like 10% of that mobile payment in Germany. I know that's seems like, and 10% of that 6%. I know that's seems like a big number, but we kind of know how to reach to that number. So our business model is simple at the moment. We are aiming to become the first e-wallet solution in Germany, and we are only charging 0.4% for small businesses per transaction and 0.8% for large businesses. And what we are building, so our technology it's developing in-house. Everything we're building, it's developing from the people we have in the team, and we are fully aware of how hard it could be to build a digital wallet because you are dealing with the people's money, and there are so many security levels and reliability levels to consider when it comes to these kind of services. And the first thing you will do is to make sure nothing goes wrong. So we are building on the newest technologies in the mobile system and backend system, and also databases. And we are using some third parties to help us to secure our application on the MVP level. So where we are standing, when you look at the market in Germany, PayPal is the king of e-commerce. Like they own 40% of the market when it comes to the e-commerce. But when it comes to the offline transactions, when you go to the shops, when you want to pay something, so they're mostly cash, and then it comes to the debit cards, and then it goes to the Google Pay, because most of the people in Germany are using Android devices, and then goes to the Apple Pay. And we have, and Alipay is only available for Chinese people in Germany. But what we're trying to do with the low transaction fee and with no cost for onboarding, we want to be highly available in the market, and we are going to be the most affordable solution for the businesses to offer cashless payment. So why not? When you look at the Asian market and when you look at the US market, you can see the big players there. You can see Alipay is trying to be part of the entire Asia by investing in the cashless payment e-wallet solution or buying the e-wallet solution. And Google Pay, by recently updating their entire application, refactoring the entire application to the new application, which is only available in US at the moment, they are kind of trying to go to that QR Pay and e-wallet solution. But in Europe, we don't have any, like we don't have even the infrastructure to go there. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the European link through the super wallet architecture around the world that can provide the cashless payment with the electric wallet. And in the near future, our aim is to link to this super wallet architecture. So when you travel, you don't need to worry about how to pay for your stuff. So our current status is we already created the MVP, and we are planning to launch by end of August in Australia. So the reason we are trying to launch in Australia, because German market is quite restricted in terms of the license you have to acquire before providing e-wallet solution, but in Australia is less restricted. So we are trying to get more traction in there and prove that our platform is working. And in the meantime, we are looking for a fund to apply for the BaFin EMI license. And in the near future, we want to bring more features to our platform to become a super wallet for the German market and soon for the European market. And definitely there are challenges and risks. So like the BaFin authorization is one of the challenges. We know it takes time to get that license, and there are so many rules we have to consider in order to authorize as to the BaFin. The market adoption, we know people love cash in here, but we also think giving them a right platform, giving them a freedom and the convenience of paying, it helps them to adopt. And also the fast growth is the key to conquer the market. So we have some prediction in terms of the unit economic, and this is based on the research we had, and we have some charts that prove our model is working. And definitely when it comes to the team, we have the people in the team, they have a background in the banking, from the MasterCard, from the fintech in Australia, and launching the businesses. And we have a great development team of working on the platform full time to make it happen. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Sohail. Right on time. Do we have any questions for Sohail? Yes, Nelson.
Hello, Sohail. Nice presentation. Thank you. Here's my question. Since you said that people perceive Google and Apple wallets as e-wallets, and seeing that one of the major points of differentiation is that it's less expensive for basically the sellers, then how do you want to convince the end customers to adopt your e-wallet solution?
Yep. So what I learned from Asian market, I know the market in the different country could be different, but there's one thing it's familiar with everyone, that is convenient. So if there's a one singular app that you can use to do most of your financial problem, to do your daily financial thing with your app, that's the way of doing things. So what we believe the way we can compete with Apple Pay and Google Pay at the moment is to bring more convenience to the user. And the one thing we can do better than them is we know the market and we are more focused on the German market to be the right platform in here.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sohail. I see Jan has a question. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I just have one question about your timeline to getting for the rollout or getting profit, whatever. So as Germans are sticky to their procedures and they're sticky to their relationships they have to their banks, and that's in comparison to the initiatives you see from the banks. Actually, what is your timeline to bringing this to success?
Sure. So one thing I want to mention is we are not going to be a neobank or any sort of a bank solution. So we are going to work with the banks in order to make this happen. Not only banks, also the blockchain technologies. So we are at the bridge between these two platforms to bring the value. We are already talking to the people in Deutsche Bank. They are super supportive when it comes to this kind of thing. I've been talking to the CTO of the Deutsche Bank, and they actually the only bank in Germany. They're providing much better API in order to make this happen. So the only thing is for us to get the BaFin authorization, but we already have the integration with few banks.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. If we do not have any other question, we can move ahead. So we have a slight change in order for the startups. Do not worry, dear judges. I have already made the changes on the score sheet. You will not face any difficulties. So the next startup we have is Deutsche Assets. On the score sheet, you can find RE plus GmbH. That is the official incorporated name for Deutsche Assets. So Jan, over to you. Jan and Dominic.
I already shared my screen. Can you let me know if you see it?
Yes, I'll start your time now.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we're quite happy to be part of the semi-final for the Entrepreneurship World Cup. And yeah, we're more too keen to show you how we redefine professional real estate transactions. Beforehand, some brief information about Dominic and me. We both have experience when it comes to professional real estate transactions. Dominic's are more from the consultancy and legal side, whereas mine are more from the product and digital side. So we worked together on a couple of real estate projects and figured out that there are plenty of issues which need to be solved to make real estate transactions more efficient. Let's start with a brief overview of what we are doing. So Deutsche Assets is a closed platform for professional real estate transactions. That means we are talking about shopping centers, residential and commercial complexes, distribution halls, and bigger healthcare facilities. And with Deutsche Assets, we provide the needed investor base to find suitable investors and buyers for real estate. As you may assume, we initially focus on the German market, which has a transaction volume or an estimated transaction volume of 150 billion per year. Let's get a step back to the origin. When we did our research, we did a couple of interviews and we figured out that more than 90% of professional real estate transactions fail in the beginning. Usually, real estates are sold by mandated brokers. The problem is that a broker has an intrinsic motivation to close the deal because they want to secure their commission. So they tend to do, we call it subjective sales. They whitewash transaction information just to close the deal. This leads to the next issue, that those brokers tend to distribute the information of the real estate in the market just to secure that commission and that everybody knows, okay, they are selling it. The issue there is that once the buyer knows, okay, everybody knows this real estate, some will start to question if it's something wrong with it or, well, can I buy it still? Another thing is what happens when a broker doesn't have a large enough network, they sometimes engage in other broker, which leads to broker chains. And a lot of brokers tell different information, wherefore the likelihood of closing the deal is declining again drastically. And all those problems occur. Also, purchase and investment criteria are usually really good defined by investors or buyers. They usually know, okay, I'm buying in a certain micro location or macro location. They have their purchase criteria, which are specifically defined for each asset class. Well, everything which goes along with such a deal are defined. And that's exactly where we get into the game. What we have done is we developed a data standard for professional real estate transactions. As mentioned before, and what you see here, that's a classical purchase profile of investors. Those investors can be family offices, asset managers, pension funds, and so on. As you may see, there are a couple of information for each asset type. All of them use different terminologies and let's say some kind of subjective wording. Wherefore it's difficult, let's say, to screen it each time for a seller. Another issue is if you switch, let's say, one line of text in such a purchase profile, it's hardly possible to distribute this information in the market. So how do I let sellers know that I'm switching my investment focus from healthcare to logistics? It's quite hard to do this. And that's exactly why we screened hundreds of those purchase profiles and developed our DA1000 data standard. So far, we combine more than 400 factors, which can be divided in those 5 categories. So they depend on each asset type. We have so far 8 different asset types, and somehow are, let's say, overlapping, and some are individual factors which you need to set. With this standard, we built the basis for our platform or system which we came up with. As in each market, we have a buyer and we have a seller. As mentioned before, the buyer has a purchase profile and the seller has a respective object profile. Both of these profiles are based on our data standard and run through the intelligent pairing system. That means if we figure out there's a suitable buyer, everything fits in their purchase profile, this buyer receives such an anonymized teaser. What is important there is this teaser is anonymized, and as a buyer, I know, okay, it suits my purchase criteria, and I have some more additional transaction criteria to make a decision whether I want to go along with the real estate or not. So I need to interact as a buyer and start request access. Once I requested access, the seller of the real estate can decide whether he wants to work with the asset manager from Frankfurt or not. This is important because when we think one step back, as I mentioned before, sellers or brokers tend to build up those broker chains and just distribute information in the market. And as an owner, I completely lose control of my real estate. And I don't know where the information is on the market distributed and whether my real estate is burned or not. Once the access is given, the transaction can be proceed. Yeah.
With this process, owners can control their market approach and ensure that their real estate is not burned on the market. Owners can use our successive approach, which means that one tranche of suitable buyers is approached after another. This reduces involved parties to a minimum. Besides, parties need to interact to get information, which only interested parties with needed capacities will do. With our process, we ensure that resources can be saved and set to focus on the underlying data. Overall, we are increasing the deal flow. Lastly, in Germany, brokers usually receive a commission of approximately 3% of transaction volume. With our pairing fee, we cut those transaction costs up to a minimum of 95%. Our sweet spot is around 30 million euros. This means that we earn an average of 180,000 euros per transaction, but still save 80% transaction costs. We started on a German market and opened it for the DACH region. Afterwards, we will open the German market for offshore investors from America and Asia. In January of this year, we launched our prototype and started to onboard real estates. With this launch, it took us only 3 months to close our first funding round, besides the first day currently in the closing phase. In total, we aggregated 4,500 purchase profiles who combined we aggregated 1,500 users who combined 4,500 purchase profiles and 100 million transaction volume. Further, we are in discussions with bigger banks to become an integrated part of their fund structure. We would be the entry point and outflow of real estates. By the end of the year, we plan to roll out our SaaS solutions. Pilot customers have already been found for this, expand the number of users up to 5,000, and generate a transaction volume of 1 billion euro. As mentioned before, we aim to be integrated into existing systems. Besides, we launched several SaaS solutions to make professional real estate transactions more efficient. The first one is the filter. It can be understood as a recruiting tool for real estates. External salariings introduce real estates and they will be automatically pre-qualified. If they are not suitable, we suggest them to relocate them via Deutsche Assets. Our aim is to build an ecosystem for professional real estate transactions. Furthermore, we are planning the tools Flow and Manager for individual sales processes and automated management of real estate and their portfolios. Many thanks for your attention.
Okay, I think we made it in the time.
Perfect. Thank you, Jan and Dominic. Thank you for that. Do we have any questions for them? Yes, I can see. Yeah, please go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, thank you guys for the presentation. I have 3 questions. I can just remind me how many deals we see in Germany every year, just to give an average. And what's average transaction volume of that one? That is question one. The second question I have on the platform side is, how do you prove if a deal happened or not? So, so just not given the information for free. So how do you prove that?
Okay, so let's start with the first question. It's somewhat difficult to estimate. So what we calculate, the average transaction volume is around 36 million on average across all asset classes. What's difficult here is we talk about the on-market and the off-market, and the information which you get are kind of difficult to evaluate. So that's what we estimate in our calculations. Regarding the proof that a transaction happened, that's, to be honest, a critical point which we have, but it's the same issue which, let's say, current brokers have in the market, that they somehow need to validate that the transaction happened. So it's kind of like, yes, we can request from the organization if the deal happens, and in our contract which we sign in the beginning, the seller needs to tell us when the deal is closed and we got the selling contract. Well, and the other side is that at the end, we somehow need to trust our users, and if we cannot trust them anymore, we come with kind of a blacklist. Because, well, you know, I think you're somehow familiar with this market. There are some people who are not that trustable, which you need to sort out really fast. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Nelson, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you. Nice presentation. So I work with some real estate businesses, let's say like the high end, or let's say like the most juicy contracts. And as far as I understand, they're your customers, or let's say like the one that are looking for the areas, for the spaces, or the other ones, they are putting a lot of let's say value on knowing this person really, really well. Kind of like, you know, it's more of a contacts, a connection base. That they feel that somebody is taking care of them. I mean, how do you think that balances out in comparison to having a, let's say, less subjective, a more objective platform, but that doesn't bring this like kind of human part into it?
Yeah, that's an important part. So yes, we are, let's say, an objective platform which sets the focus on the data. However, we always try to, let's say, establish a personal contact with the users which we have, which is quite important in this market, and to build up or grow your personal network. To your original part, in one interview, we asked with how many, let's say, brokers or people do you do deals which you haven't known before, and most of them say, well, we do that, yeah, and usually it works out. But let's say more than 50% are from common sellers which they have. About 30% are usually from external brokers, and 20% from the owners directly. But you know, that's not really valid data because it really varies between the parties. Well, yeah, I hope that answers your question. So, but what we want to say is, yes, there is a personal network, which is quite important, but this personal network is also somehow limited for the deals. And that's more where we say, okay, we are the add-on for your personal network somehow. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other question? I don't think so. Thank you, Deutsche Assets. Thank you, Jan and Dominic.
Thank you.
So, yeah, perfect. So the next startup that we have is Virtual Eye Technologies.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you start by presenting your screen, please, Sanan?
Sure. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, your time starts now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sinan Geylani, founder and CEO of the Virtual Eye. I would love to welcome to Virtual Eye World. And we are Virtual Eye. And our story starts exactly like this. One day, people will not believe we used to insure risks without inspecting them first. Let me tell the story about that. I was the regional chief underwriting officer of a global player in MEA region. And I realized that only 5% of the insured locations have proper risk information before we insure them. 95% of the insured locations in commercial property were insured just based on the client's declaration. And it was definitely not reasonable at all. I have been in the industry more than 15 years, and I have always created the innovative insurance products in the world, like autonomous vehicle insurance, crypto transactional insurance solutions, insuring artificial intelligence liability solutions. But what virtual eye does is not as sexy as what I discussed about, highlighted about what products I created. It is one of the fundamental problems of the industry, which is ensuring the risk with a tangible, fact-based, real-time data. And in virtual eye, I solved that fundamental problem, providing the holistic data, capturing and analyzing, reporting to support underwriting decisions. Let me tell about the insurance industry. Even though the entire market that we are addressing is $1 trillion insurance market, it's quite old industry, and it's definitely ready for the fundamental disruption. In fact, we are just changing the entire risk selection paradigm in the ecosystem. How the system works mainly, there are commercial assets, and following the commercial assets, there are brokers or agents, and after that, that risk goes to the insurer, but at the end, the reinsurer are insuring the insurance companies to create that ecosystem. So the brokers are the closest to the assets, but they do not have the resource and scientifically quantify the risks they are selling to the insurance companies. Insurance companies cannot assess the 95% of these risks, as I earlier stated in my initial introduction. And reinsurance companies, even though they are the end payer of each and every claim, they are furthest away from the risks and assets, and they have very little data to support that underwriting decisions. Ultimately, the problem stems from the lack of an easy-to-use, standardized and cost-effective solution to make data available for all the players in the industry. The current way of calculating risk is manual, time-consuming, and expensive, especially in remote and broad territories. And finally, there is a huge variability of the risks underneath of the water, which is an invisible segment for the insurance that makes that industry guesstimates rather than decides on fact-based data. How the system works, I would love to show a very short video on that to you. Therefore, we can directly get better idea about the solution.
New paradigm of doing business in insurance industry. In this space, watch this space. Move from good faith-based underwriting to data-driven dynamic decision-making. We transform traditional risk engineering services into tech-based and data-driven processes that add instantaneous value to the insurance industry. Available immediately. It takes at most 1 week for you to start using the platform. Real-time data gathering, customizable survey forms, AI-backed risk scoring, automatic risk report generation, GDPR compliant, incredibly fast follow-up surveys, decreased loss ratio. This is PRS, an intelligent platform for insurance underwriting and risk engineering. Reduce costs, maximize efficiency, increase profitability. VRS is created by Virtual Eye Technologies. Investigate before you indemnify. Assess before you insure.
We managed to increase that visibility from 5% to 100% with the actual clients with a proven technology. And how did we do that? And what are the simple process of the products? Therefore, let me tell a very short story why I created this company, even though I was very well paid and spoiled underwriter. One day I received a submission from one of the top 2 brokers in the world. And the guy sent me a risk information and with a link, FTP link. And I was so thrilled about that. You know, somebody finally sends that risk information in digital and structured way rather than 180 pages of written report that nobody reads it. I clicked that link and I saw that there are 2 gigabytes of the unstructured data. And the guy was expecting me to send the code following day. I couldn't stop myself. I give a call to the broker and I said, what the hell are you thinking? Just how can I process, digest, and give a wise decision based on 2 gigabyte data information? He said, this is your problem, not mine. And that day I decided, okay, I'm going to change this because it is exactly an underwriter's problem. Underwriters are the gatekeepers of the shareholders' money in the insurance companies. So far, we couldn't afford that one. In AIG, in my former companies, even we had 1,000 engineers globally, it is still not moving the needle. So what I created, simple. First, we implemented the most advanced remote inspection capability in the platform to acquire the data on the field, real time, in high quality and relevant data. After that, there's the industry-specific forms. Therefore, we implemented what Henry Ford did in the manufacturing industry, standardization. Everyone in the world is capturing this standardized international code of risk information. And once you have the standardized data, then this is creating us automated with the AI-based risk scoring, which we use the Bayesian belief network at the behind. We created the risk segmentation, classification of each and every risk in the portfolio. Finally, risk analysis and auto-report. As an underwriter, we just need one decision. I need to give the decision whether I'm going to write the risk or do not write the risk. And this helps an underwriter to give faster, quicker, and cheaper real-time decision power on fact basis, not guesstimate. And this part is what Gutenberg printing machine did in manuscript book writing industry. We managed to increase the efficiency hundreds of times. Therefore, each and every is now visible. Then, so what? If you go to any insurance company at the moment and ask them, what is your total accumulation in large corporate top 100 companies in Germany? Nobody has a clue. Literally nobody has a clue. So once you capture each and every location insurance asset in structured way, it is just one click of the button. And most of the questions that chief underwriting officers or chief risk officers, CEOs cannot answer is now with one click ahead. So just imagine, when was the last time you picked a rotten apple at the market? You never do that. Nobody does that. But insurance industry did this almost 150 years because there was not enough technology, cost-effective way, supported with right business model to empower them to see each and every risk. Simply, we open the eyes of the insurers. Therefore, once they go to the market, they are not blindfolded choosing, and they perform straightforward better. With us, they can have a sustainable and profitable growth opportunity. Growth is so simple in insurance industry. If you decrease your premiums 20%, immediately you are the top insurance company in the country. But after 3 years later, you are going to be bankrupt. Therefore, with our technology, they can be faster, they can be most effective, and they can create value-added services to their customers, and they never selected terrible ones. There is no rotten apple anymore in their portfolios. The market is, as I said, $1 trillion property insurance market in the world. And it is other insurance product. It is $85 billion market occurring annually. In the company, once I created the company first, there was no one in this segment, but now we have a very good copycats in USA market, but there is no any, and none of them is really addressing the entire solution that we offer. Virtual Eye makes that visibility not stuck in the tip of the iceberg, but entire ice mass, which is the 100% of the risks. So far, once you solve the fundamental problem in the most simple way, then you see the traction. The biggest problem is not blockchain or AI in insurance industry. The biggest problem is risk selection paradigm is old-fashioned and manuscript, and it's not effective, not creating a value. Therefore, with this way, in the last 6 months, we 4 times growth on the last 2 years from the number of inspection and also from the number of users perspective. And this
Thank you, Sinan. Unfortunately, your time is over.
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. Thank you. So judges, do we have any questions for them?
Yes. My question would be, the starting point is on the left side on the top, it was the remote inspection. How you make sure that nobody's cheating there? Yep, remote inspection.
Yeah, in remote inspection, there are subject matter experts sitting on the ground in our ecosystem, and directly with the client, they are making that inspections directly with the clients and gathering the information. Therefore, there is no way that they can cheat on that one. Therefore, it is not self-assessment. And each video, alphanumeric and visual informations are GPS coded and timestamped and secured in the cloud platform.
Okay, cool. Because everything else is based on that one. So it's very important to stay safe on this. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, Jan and Nelson. So we'll go for Jan first and then Nelson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I just have two questions. Which asset class we're talking about, or risk class? So as the insurance market is quite large as well from the asset class. Question one. And question two is, does it belongs in any to the Solvency II regulations? It pays into that systems, or is it something a hurdle for you?
In fact, let's start with the second one, Jan. Insolvency II regulation is one of the key decision-making power on the virtual life, because with this system on granular level, insurance companies can give significantly better Insolvency II reporting and calculate their risk-based capital and insolvency ratios accurately, not to rely on gut estimates. With the entire, instead of having the Monte Carlo simulations on very vague database, system can do that one and provide the insurance companies.
Okay, great.
And yeah, regarding, in fact, a chief underwriting officer designed the system. Therefore, it addresses all the C-level of the decision makers in the insurance companies, make their life easier, the system. That's the reason we are getting significant traction from Berkshire Hathaway, Swiss Re, and now we are deploying the technology across the globe.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, Nelson? We have time for one more question.
My question has been answered, but yeah,
okay.
but thank you.
Yes, Peter, I can see you raised your hand.
I guess the most cost-intensive part is the remote inspection. Is this true?
Yes, exactly. Based on the, but compared to the market, it is 25 times cheaper because the market subject matter experts need to travel manually, and with us, we are charging hourly basis. And just $50 for the risk specific on timely manner. And with the fully automated system, they spend very much less time and they just put their brain, not their fingers, to the process.
Okay, thank you.
And a really, really quick one. How does the remote inspection become, it's in structured visual information into structured information once it happens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a remote inspection process, engineers, subject matter experts have standardized for in front of him and also the remote inspection platform. Therefore, he is just following the very well established route of asking the questions and verified with the visual information, including audio and required data. Therefore, every question is tagged with the supporting rich media evidence directly. That's the reason we avoid total misperception of any data or communication.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Sanan. So moving on to the final startup for the day. It's Poster Lab. Sebastian, are you there? Perfect. So since you joined in late, I'm going to read out the rules to you. So you'll be given 10 minutes to pitch your presentation and 5 minutes for the question answers round. When the clock strikes 9 minutes, I'll play a sound, which is going to be this. So when you hear this, I'd want you to wrap your presentation quickly. Can you start by sharing your screen now?
Sure. Your screen?
Yes. Your time starts now.
Okay. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to present Poster Lab to you guys and get some feedback.
So I'm Sebastian. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Poster Lab, and I will present you what it's all about. So what is important to keep in mind from the beginning is that we aim at making it super easy to transfer knowledge within research organization and in between research partners, for example, in consortia. That's our goal. It should be as easy to transfer knowledge as to use, let's say, a Tinder app, for example, or a dating app. So why are we looking at this? Because right now, let's say you do have a lot of organizations that are having tremendous problem to let's say, to fulfill their innovation pipeline, especially the front end of the innovation. So they are dying for ideas. I'm coming from this world. I used to work about 18 years in the corporate world for a large US and German company as innovation managers, and there's a huge bottleneck on this end. The other bottleneck is on the academic level, where they are producing a lot of very important invention that they are trying to bring to the market in the form of patents. And they are also, let's say, looking for ways to push this out. But what we found out so far, this is not working very well. So this is mainly, I mean, back in the days, and it's even worse right now during COVID, this is how knowledge, invention were being shared within research, let's say, in between research partners. In between, let's say, you would go in such kind of events, which I call also conferences or symposium, where you would see what are the latest status on research being done within academia, within corporation, or in both. But these are what I used to call happy few. I mean, very few people could actually have the chance to attend these events. So a lot of information and knowledge were basically lost in translation. What we want to do is that we want to foster this knowledge. We want to foster this information to be transferred across the board within a research organization or in between research partners, in between academia and corporation, because this is how you make basically invention and innovation. This is how we position ourselves. We want all this knowledge, what is expertise that is, let's say, being generated on the go within a research organization or within a consortium. We want this to be very easy to be found. So the expertise and knowledge, as well as make it super easy to find who has been working on it, who are the co-authors. So this is for us, and this is based on this discussion we have had with many researchers on both the academic and the corporate side, is to make it easy to find this most valuable node of knowledge within organization. It's an asset, a research and its co-author. So this bundle of information, this node is what is the most important information you need to find, you need to have access to foster, let's say, innovation within a company or a consortium. What did we develop? We developed a very straightforward platform, which can be, let's say, SaaS or in-house based, where you can actually look at what are the experts that are working on which topic within my organization. I can easily, if I am, let's say, somebody new within an organization, joining a topics, I want to know what has been cooking so far. I can actually find out super easy, okay, who is working on this project? What have they been doing so far? And this is what is being done with this, for example, this feature, which is called Find an Expert. The other important feature is the gallery. Here I can see all the ongoing research findings that are usually, let's say, stored into PowerPoint presentation, into one-pagers, into scientific posters. I can access it in a very easy manner based on the fact that each of these documents that is uploaded on our platforms are being, let's say, structured by our machine learning system. So this is a very important information to be sure that you have a consistent structuration of the information so they can find it easily. Next step is that you are basically finding expertise and peers, but you want these people to collaborate with each other. And this is what we developed, the group feature, where here you can collaborate with your peers on the same thematic. And this is, let's say, an example of what we have been working on based on the feedback we are gathering from the researchers, we are keeping on interviewing, and the customer we are generating along the go. This is another idea of, I mean, there's a chapter of all the information is looking like, sorry. The idea is to be centered on the information, centered on the knowledge, to make that knowledge super easy to find. You can even see on the right side, you have this possibility to exchange with the authors and to look, maybe my question was already asked, or I want to know automatically if there's anything new on that topic or that research, I can follow the topic and automatically be notified. This is something that has been not done so far, is to develop a solution that is focused on researchers, for researchers to map expertise and find peers. This is a quick snapshot of our machine learning system. how it works to help us to categorize, to summarize automatically documents, to categorize them by keywords and topics, so that we can also have recommendation for assets and for people. The market is rather big. It's about $20 billion worldwide, the total addressable markets. We are right now focusing on the regional markets. We are rather early stage startups. We get some customers in Germany, in Saarland, and in Rheinland-Pfalz, and we are slowly growing in Germany and across Europe. Our competition so far, we have been, let's say, scrutinizing the market, doing a lot of benchmark, and there is a lot of solution for researchers, for knowledge transfers across the board, but so far we could not see a solution that is dedicated for this. Most of the solutions we found are addressing one part of the value chain of the research being generated. So either it's a way, let's say, to use, let's say, for example, a communication like Slack. It's a system to have innovation management software like Plainview, Sopheon. You also have information online. We have ResearchGate, where you can potentially find researchers, but let's say it's rather not up to date and it's not related to your organization or your cluster. You can also have a lot of repositories, but repositories are fundamentally different from what we do, because repositories are a place where you can find information that has been published, where our focus is to make ongoing research finding visible across the board within an organization. So we didn't find anyone right now, let's say, any direct competition to what PostLab does. And this is also the feedback we got from the people we are talking to. We are talking to academia, and we are also talking to large corporations like Henkel or BioNTech, as we are focusing on the chemistry and the life science world. Talking about this is our focus, our R&D-driven organization, universities, research institutes, and researchers. Our business model is to have a yearly license fee with a different pricing scheme depending on the value we bring and then depending on the profile of the potential customers. That's why a university is rather, let's say, the budget is cheaper than on the corporation. This is our sales pipeline as we talk. So we do have a CRM that we set in place right from the beginning to ensure that we are tracking, let's say, the right customers. Talking about this, we are reaching out to dedicated business personas that we have defined to ensure that talking to the right person and increase our conversion rate in between lead to demo to offer to deal. And these are a couple of the letter of intent and information customers we have generated so far. We had the ID back in October 19. We did our pre-seed in May 2020, and we are closing our seed as we talk now. So there's a good traction in terms of investors, and also we are showing good signs in terms of customer uptake. The feedback we got so far, talking from people we talked to, the life science company, the chemistry company are very much liking our solution. As some are referring to it as a catalog, a very, let's say, easy to visualize, because it's about visualization of the knowledge. So we have this catalog that is very easy to find. And again, this possibility to look for a node. I'm looking for an expertise. So I'm looking for a document and I'm looking for an authors, potentially to further collaborate with that person or to foster my own project because I need interdisciplinary research input. In terms of strategy, what we want to do is that we are focusing on 4 different areas in terms of business operation. We want to work a lot on peer-to-peer, let's say, recommendation, because our platform can be used within a university or within a consortia, which is spreading a lot, let's say, the visibility of our platform. We already notice it in a couple of our customers that have been using our platform, involving external let's say, providers, which give us, let's say, a very good reach that we could not have done only relying on sales. We are also being very careful in terms of our product. We have a very important roadmap, focusing these days a lot in integration with existing software like OneDrive, Google Drive, and also single sign-on. This is our P&L for the next 25, back until 25, with the sales that we want to reach by then. As I said, we have a seed round that is closed. We are going to notary in a few weeks. This is our team. Very important to notice is that we have a very strong expert and scientific committee that we put in place since the beginning of PostLab, which is our sounding board on anything related to products, market, machine learning, EU funds, and so on. And our team, which is a very international team, We have more than 8 nationalities across four different continents, which is a very important strength of PostLab to go ahead.
Thank you,
So
Sebastian.
this is PostLab. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Do we have questions for Sebastian? Nelson, Peter, Jan, do we have questions for him? None? Perfect.
Oh.
Yes, Peter.
So again, this is about the people who are the experts. I guess this is your extended network. Do they get money for this, doing what they do?
No, it's the idea is it's to map one's organization expertise and peers. So you are, let's say, we are not some kind of a marketplace where you can actually leverage other people knowledge, where you do have this kind of solution on the market right now. This is not what we do as of today.
Okay. And how to make sure that you're not competing with HR? Because HR will say, you know, a person, what he's doing is not allowed to be shared. Otherwise, the person allows to share this information.
So all the information that are being on the platform are shared within an organization which is our customer, let's say a corporation or a university, or within a consortium, which is gathering, let's say, different research partners. So there's none of the information that is going to be shared to the external world.
Okay. You know, I've seen this in projects where the project owners will ask for the same thing, you know, what this person has done in the past, what is his expertise, etc. And the person do not allow to share the information because it's very hard to find. And they struggled a lot with this. So
that's a good point. I agree with you. It's very challengeable, and this is what we are trying to address, this exact point. And the idea is that we want to make it possible to have this kind of PostLab as a way to visualize the knowledge, assessing the documents that are already within the organization. So that's why our solution can also be on-premise, so that we are not, let's say, messing up with any of the information. We are just helping it to structure it, because our machine learning understands the whole documents and also can allocate it to the right author. So all the information that are being available within the company, generated by their employees, are going to be accessible on PostLab for them. It's a better way for them to access information in the end. But you are fully right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you for this.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, judges. If we do not have any other questions now, as you can see, the last startup and your scorecard, they could not make it today. So we'll wrap up the pitching session for now. What I request all the judges to do is kindly mute yourself, switch off your camera, and Sven must have forwarded you a Google Meet link. So I'd request you to join that, have an internal discussion about all the startups, so that quickly we can decide which 6 startups are the ones who are going to qualify for tomorrow's finals. While we do that, we have one final keynote session for today. Our next keynote speaker is Neha. She's the CEO of Toronto Business Development Center. Neha is a veteran in entrepreneurship space with a depth of experience across technology, business consulting, and startups. As the current executive director of Toronto Business Development Center, she has helped transform the organization as one of the leading destinations for international startups looking to establish their business in the North American market. So any of you startups would like to expand into Canada, she is your person. Over to you, Neha. Sebastian, could you stop sharing your screen, please? Thank you. Neha, over to you.
Thank you so
much.
much
Thanks for joining in today.
And thank you, Mainstage Incubator, for having me today. Thank you, Sven, Devashish, for making this happen. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. And I am, as Sumit mentioned, the CEO of Toronto Business Development Center. And I would love to talk about the North American Market Access Program that Canada has for startups and scale-ups from across the world. I'd love to share my screen and get you more information on that. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, Neha.
Perfect. So we're talking about Canada, we're talking about Toronto, but yes, we are talking about overall North American market and probably the most, I'd say the most wanted market that every startup and scale up wants to scale in, which is the US market. When we look at just our background, Toronto Business Development Center is one of the first business incubators established by the City of Toronto and Province of Ontario in 1990. So we're a 30-year-old organization when people didn't call their business startups. So we've helped over 10,000 entrepreneurs in different programs for the city, for the province, and for the federal government as well. So Startup Visa program that I'm talking about today is the federal government program. And it's also one of the fastest immigration program for entrepreneurs, how to get to North America and come and build their teams and scale from there. So while we talk about this is intended to attract international entrepreneurs who wish to establish new scalable businesses in Canada and scale from Canada. So there are 3 tracks within the program as well. And there's a venture capital track, there's angel investor groups track, and then there's a business incubator. We are obviously falling into the business incubator track. While you're a startup, a scale up who has market validation, who's looking to target North American market, you have to basically qualify for an incubator program with any of the incubators that I'll share this with you as well, who are listed by the federal government as designated entities. And you can come to Canada, set up your entity here. Why immigration? Because that makes you eligible to actually take advantage of the innovation ecosystem, the government grants, and all sorts of government programs in various industries. And that's why we prefer to bring people here and make them Canadian as well. So this is some of the eligibility, basic eligibility from a program perspective. This program is for founders and the other people. If let's say your CTO is, for example, not a co-founder and wants to be under the, coming to Canada to help you up to set up the business and scale from here, then they can come under various other programs, which is one of them is a global talent stream, and that's how you can also move around the talent you already have in the company to North America and back home wherever you are. So what do we look for? Who can apply? We are looking for crazy, amazing startups like we've seen here today, and we're going to see more tomorrow as well. And we're looking for those innovative businesses who are addressing, a significant size of the market globally, a very strong founding team. People is all people buy. That's what I believe. So the founding team is critical in this case, and businesses who have market validation. So having market validation comes in 3-4 folds for us. You already have running revenues. You have customers that are paying. Or if you are, let's say, a biotech or a life sciences kind of startup, you are looking at basically investments or R&D that you're doing with maybe universities, and the same what you want to do here as well. So those are a few areas. If you're an MVP stage, this is the relevant market that you want to go to. Then we're looking at external investments that have already happened within your company. It'd be founder investments or institutional investments or angel rounds that you have completed. So the idea here also is to look at market validation from a perspective where there is enough business capital in the business to sustain founders for 12 to 18 months. Now, the immigration part of it is a choice. You can choose not to do immigration, but also look at a soft landing spot. The idea is that we give you that support, which becomes more like a one-stop shop, and give you all kinds of partner services, starting from legal, bookkeeping, accounting, hiring, and marketing and business development, and showcasing you in this market overall. So this is what we provide under the program. We create a bespoke program 2 months before you land in Canada. We give you a pre-acceleration program. There are a lot of advisory hours included in it to prepare you if you're looking at specifically North American market from a product perspective, from investments perspective, and looking at from a customer perspective as well. And then we give you in-person 6 months acceleration program. Our processing times are anywhere around 4 to 5 weeks, and we are a non-profit government-funded entity, so we don't take equity in startups and scale-ups that want to come into Canada under this program. So we charge. We made it a cost recovery program, and we charge 30,000 Canadian dollars. I think Sven will help me make it euros. So that's the part we can share with you later. And yes, this is our track record. Our permanent program by the federal government was converted to a permanent program ideally in 2019. So from May 2019 until date, we've clocked in 100 approved startups. We have startups from everywhere, starting from India, China, UK, US, Hong Kong, Turkey, Iran, Lithuania. You say it and we have it. And we're sector agnostic. So that also means we have startups from all industries, and how we operate in this ecosystem is to help you partner to do marketing as well as business development wherever you find the most value. So one of our mandates from the provincial government's funding is that we are able to transition companies into those innovation corridors that are specific to those industries. For example, if you're a health tech company, we have a City of Hamilton's Health Tech Consortium, which literally is 50 companies, big and small, coming together with their CXOs, and they help you from anything from clinical trials to do business development, to do partnerships and collaborations, to actually launch your products and services in Canada. So if you're an agri-tech company, we don't trap you in Toronto downtown. You need land, you need labs. So we send you to Northumberland. So those are the kind of partnerships we work around in this ecosystem. This is just a little bit more on the due diligence or the selection process that we do. It is literally 4 to 5 weeks. We take you through, a due diligence report, a panel interview, and then we decide that you can be a part of the program. And basically you come into Canada is absolutely on the business needs. You're not supposed to travel today. If you get your work permits, you're supposed to travel when your business is ready for that. So there is a lot of flexibility there, and that's one reason we don't have cohorts. We run it like a rolling program, and thanks to COVID, we don't have a lot that have landed out of the 100 startups we've approved. We have about 15 landed, but it's a rolling program, and businesses are able to travel when they're able to do it. And because of COVID circumstances as well, most of the embassies and high commission and immigration offices have been closed. So taking care of all of that, it's basically when you're ready, we are ready. This is on due diligence. I'll skip that one. So this is the end result of the selection process. We sign a incubation agreement with you, and we give you a letter of support. This letter of support is an immigration document where you can go file your permanent residency and work permits under the program. Permanent residency has its own timeline. It takes anywhere around 12 to 16 months to get it for founders, but the government covers it with work permits so that you don't have to wait for permanent residencies, and you can just come on work permits, and the PR applications are processing in the background. This is the core of the 2 months virtual program and the 6 months acceleration program we provide. Our aim is to offer access to North America, not just Canada, and more so access to US. Our programming platform itself is a US platform. It's called One Valley. It's a global entrepreneurship platform for individuals, startups, even corporations who are seeking to scale in that market. So we get access to a lot of advisors who are CXOs and CEOs, and also a lot of support in terms of platforms that startups can use, for example, for payments and AWS and all of those. And also a lot of access is also focused on investors in the US. So just looking at Toronto, 60-70% of Toronto deals have US money. So Toronto or Canada is one of the very comfortable markets for US investors to invest in outside of the US. And you're sitting right beside the market that you want to be in, getting basically the Xerox copy of the customer you're targeting, and maybe accidentally you'll sell in Canada. But the idea is, and we always ask this, what's your go-to-market strategy for US? So, and we help you build it and we help you execute it sitting in Canada as well. So this is what our offering is about. We offer all kinds of business services, all kinds of partner services, and anything and everything in Incubator, including office space that we provide is all applicable under the program. You get a one-on-one advisory sessions. You pretty much have 2 to 3 touch points with specific advisors that we match for you based on your business needs. And then you have a monthly events calendar, you do TBDC check-ins once a month. So there's a dedicated program manager that is given to you, and they basically follow you like pretty much like a shadow. So they exactly know what's happening when you're here and what's the roadmap for the business in this case. These are some of our program partnerships we have. So these are our national partnerships that we bring together for you to basically know which lawyer to talk to when you're incorporating your company and what your structure of the company should be, to where to go get best beer in town. I know it's very hard, for us to tell Germans where to go get the best beer in town, but we try. We definitely try in this case. So one of our major partnerships with Ontario Centre of Innovation is also a provincial partnership, and they help us they help our startups do business development in Ontario. So across the province, all innovation corridors, all communities are covered by them, and they basically help us transition these startups and scale ups to those. Beehive Brampton is one of the bigger examples. We've been partners with another city, which is City of Brampton, and we've opened up their incubator, which is specifically focused on startups coming under the program. So international startups, but focused on cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, clean tech, industrial. So they're specific to industries, and that's how our partnerships work in this case. These are some of our approved startups. If there are any Indian startups here, there might be a few names that ring a bell here, but most of them we have anything and everything from China, Hong Kong, UK, US. I think Europe we only covered Lithuania for now. We have one from Budapest, so that's pretty much that. And that is all. And I want to mention that we are partnering. Sven's been really, really great, and Devashish as well. We're partnering with Mainstage Incubator to provide this access to the startups at Mainstage Incubator, or the startups in the network of Mainstage Incubator as well. And we're partnering and collaborating with Mainstage Incubator to be our ambassador organization. And most likely or not, we'll probably have Sven and Devashish travel to Toronto very soon and open a Mainstage Incubator in Canada. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of today's session. But before we move ahead, I'd like to thank all the judges, speakers, all the startups. If you're comfortable, you can switch on your camera. We'll do a quick 10 seconds workout. We'll stretch out a bit if you want, right? So we just freshen up a bit. And I know it's a difficult situation over here, but I'd like to remind you that out of hundreds, more than 100 participants out of the DACH region, you are the lucky 9. Not the lucky 9, but the best 9 who made it to this stage. Unfortunately, only 100 startups qualify for the global finals. So you might or might not be there. That should not dishearten you. But before we move ahead, I know it's a difficult situation, and it's the football season right now. So one of our favorite journalists, sports journalist, Fabrizio Romano, just like he says, here we go. So moving ahead to the finals, not in any specific order, but in the order of what you're pitched. The 6 startups that are qualifying are Stacks, Kilo Robotics, Trashcoin, Deutsche Assets, Virtual Eye Technologies, and Poster Lab. Congratulations to all of you. Those who participated, who qualified, who did not qualify. Doesn't matter, you reached this stage. And with that, I'd like to remind you that we are here to support you. You can connect with all the speakers, all the judges, every one of us at Mainstage, all the different startups who came here. We'd love to help you on your journey throughout. With that, can we stop the recording and the live session, please? Thank you. Thank you so much.